What's going on, everybody? My name is C4. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're here for a brand new Madden 25 realistic rebuild of the Miami Dolphins, where we have at minimum of 5, maximum of 10 seasons to try and figure out why the Dolphins can't have any playoff success. We're going to make them a great team. We're going to draft really, really well. We're going to crush the roster management. We're going to work with Nerd Alert, their head coach here, Mike McDaniel, and we're going to turn this team into a Super Bowl champion. This has been the most requested team in my comments. I've not been putting them off for any particular reason other than maybe I feel like there's just not a lot of work that needs to be done. But on the inverse, I've done a lot of rebuilds this year, and I don't see Miami routinely in the playoffs, let alone making the Super Bowl. So they might be one of those purgatory teams that are the hardest teams to rebuild. Because you look at the skill positions. You look at Tua, 82 superstar. Jonnu Smith had a hell of a year, a breakout year. You got Waddle superstar, Tyreek superstar, Achane, one of the most dynamic running backs in the league. You have a franchise tackle in Armstead for like a season or two. You have a successor in place in Patrick Paul here, who's definitely going to start for us at some point in time in the rebuild. Definitely needs some work along the offensive line, which is likely where we're going to look at this 2025 draft. Defensively, I mean, you got some big-time players. Seiler, anytime I've ever seen the Dolphins play, this Seiler guy is maybe the best player on their defense, and I'm not super familiar with his game outside of I've seen some Dolphins like, oh, that guy's underrated as hell. Reminds me of Zach Allen a little bit when he left the Cardinals, and he's been crushing it for the Denver Broncos. You got Jalen Ramsey, a lockdown corner, Fuller, 86. You got Jordan Poyer, shout out Rachel Bush. You got Jalen Phillips. Jordan Brooks is a superstar. Dev Dotson, I think he was like a mid-season signing, ended up crushing. You got Chubb. You got Chop Robinson, freak of nature pass rush. You have the Canadian Javon Holland at safety. This should be like a 2-year rebuild. This team here, you might need a piece or two. This should contend. But the fact that I've never seen them contend has me a little bit worried that, like, it's not maybe a talent issue. There's just something else in the water here in Miami that is going to truly bring the challenge for us to bring them a Super Bowl. And I embrace that challenge, and I'm ready to go. So to recap the Dolphins' stats here in the 2024 season, I actually just want to, before I do that, put something kind of funny in. I'm recording this video on Saturday, the Saturday before the Super Bowl. I'm going to probably get about halfway done this rebuild today. Then I'm not working or not doing anything. Sunday, tomorrow, the Super Bowl, that's blocked off. So likely, the second half of this rebuild is going to be recorded the Monday after the Super Bowl. It'll be very potentially funny and enjoyable or noticeable for you guys watching this if my personality changes for better or for worse in the second half of this video. But right now, we're very optimistic, not only about life and other football games, but I'm optimistic about this Dolphins team that we're going to be able to put them together. So look at Tua. One thing in this rebuild, we don't have to worry about concussions, so that's certainly a video game advantage that in real life, I think I'm a Dolphins fan, I'm probably always worried about anytime my quarterback takes a hit. Is that the last hit? Is that the last time? It's just a brutal situation. At least we're not going to have to deal with that here today. Because I feel like the stats almost always check out when Tua's healthy, even if it's maybe ugly football, maybe if the stats are misleading, the stats are usually pretty decent for a healthy Tua. I mean, last year, he was in the MVP hunt for a little bit, and then he got her 4,600 yards, almost 30 touchdowns. You know, pretty efficient throwing the football, doesn't have a crazy amount of turnovers. Tua's one of those guys that, like, a healthy Tua doesn't turn the ball over a lot, but his turnovers are usually like, what the hell was that? Like, ugly, stupid turnovers. So we're going to have to try and figure that out. I think a big thing is Miami is a finesse team. They are a finesse team to an absolute T. You can tell that by the way that they draft, right? They just get, like, speed guys. It's kind of reminds me a little bit of how Chip Kelly was building the Eagles for a minute there, where it's just like, we're just getting fat. And hey, have you ever watched my rebuilds? I tend to, especially at least when we're in blind pick territory, oh, you're super fast, I can work with that. I appreciate that from the Dolphins, if they kind of apply that to real life. But you need to combine that with some badasses. This is an incredibly soft team. I think Terran Armstead had a quote that this team has no edge. I think that's absolutely apparent when I watch Dolphins football. Now, I come from a point of privilege. I have supported a team that prioritizes the trenches maybe more so than any team in NFL history. Philadelphia, regardless of if it's a sexy pick or not, will invest a first, second rounder at any of the offensive line spots. Tackle, guard, center, D tackle, pass rush. I mean, pass rush is not a hot take. Most people will invest in a big-time edge rusher. But I've always had good offensive line play, so I never really have this worry that my quarterback's going to be hurt every other month. I never had this worry about, are we going to be competitive when it gets cold outside? I feel like that's kind of the knock against the Dolphins. Anytime the Dolphins have to go against Buffalo, anytime the Dolphins make the playoffs, it just feels like they are not tough enough to go on deep runs and not tough enough to be competitive. And I think that's my number one goal in this rebuild. I want to take the good, which is the finesse and speed and all that stuff that McDaniel likes, and then you infuse that with a little bit of physicality, and maybe that's going to be the missing piece, the winning combination for this Dolphins team. We have Achane in the backfield. Awesome weapon, 900 yards, 6 touchdowns. You got Jalen Wright, the rookie out of Tennessee, big-time speed. I like working with that. Receiving, it was just bizarre watching them play, man. The amount of checkdowns Achane got, good if you had him in fantasy football, bad if you're like, why is this team not doing well? Why are they always looking for the checkdown, not getting the ball to Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill when they were out there? It was bizarre watching them play, but I mean, from a talent standpoint, Achane definitely should and will be a pivotal piece of this rebuild. Jalen Waddle's a guy that needs to just put it all together. Somehow he has a superstar dev. I'm not going to complain about that, but he's going to have to earn that, or he's going to regress. Jonnu Smith had a breakout year. He was awesome. That's great to see. And then Tyreek Hill. It seems like the season kind of went out the rails when Tyreek Hill got arrested. I was very pro Tyreek Hill in that situation. I can't say, I can say very proudly, the other issues Tyreek Hill has had, very anti-Tyreek Hill. But in this rare instance, it was ridiculous. And I almost felt like that was what derailed the Dolphins season. The team was never the same. Tyreek was never the same. And then, like, at the end of the year, he was like, I want to get traded. I don't want to be here. And I literally think yesterday on Super Bowl Row, he came out and said, like, I apologize to my teammates. It is a bizarre situation. We are not entering a fire sale mode to start this rebuild yet. But I will say we will heavily take the upcoming season. Our first year of this rebuild will be very much figuring out who we can rely on, who we should build around, who's not good enough. And there is a chance that, like, if this is our sim numbers next year, if we play a full healthy season and Waddle and Tyreek Hill in particular aren't even flirting with 1,000 yards, I think some tough decisions, some tough conversations are going to be had here in Miami. On the defensive side of the ball, they got Jordan Brooks coming over from the Seahawks. He had a hell of a year. Dodson, I think he was on Seattle. He was on Buffalo, and then I think he went to Seattle and got released or got traded or something like that. Ended up Miami, and I just remember in fantasy football, we were in an IDP league. He started crushing it since he was on the Dolphins. So, like, that's kind of cool. The veteran Jordan Poyer, shout out Rachel Bush. He had almost 100 tackles. Seiler with 13 TFLs, 10 sacks. Awesome. 6 sacks from Chop Robinson. What a freaking pick. He's going to be blue chip player for this rebuild. I love that selection. He was one of my favorite players last year, knowing that, you know, he's a project guy for sure, but I love gambling on those traits. If you're a pass rusher that's 250 pounds and you run like a 4.4, you can work with that. The Nolan Smiths, the Micah Parsons, all those guys, Chop Robinsons of the world, those are just fun edge rushers that you love to see grow and develop. From the pick standpoint, Jalen Ramsey's kind of getting the Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, like the ratings there, the talent's there, but you're not really producing a little bit. We need him to have a bounce back year, or again, if we're going to have a little bit of a fire sale, certain players definitely offer a lot of value, and we might have to consider our assets and see what kind of value we could get. But obviously, ideally, everything kind of gets smoothed out here a little bit. Our good players play like our good players. They justify their contracts, and we're going to have a good time. Now, we have a couple of retirements. Raheem Mostert retires after 10 years. Awesome career. Calais Campbell retires after 17 years. Hall of Famer? Maybe, kind of, sort of, but unreal player after 17 years. I think it's a first win, too, that we get Terran Armstead not retiring this first year. So that is a win. All right, this is, okay. We have 13, so the cap situation is terrible here in Miami. Okay, with $13 million, let's see. We have Isaiah Wynn, who's a starter, can't afford to pay you. We have Robert Jones, who's a starter, can't afford to pay you. Braxton Berrios is technically our wide receiver 3, can't afford to pay you. Jordan Poyer would really like to keep the Rachel Bush vibes around the building, but can't afford to pay you. Dodson, who I thought for sure was getting a new contract, that becomes a little tougher. Kohu 77 with the dev trade comes a little bit tougher. I think prioritizing, now this is a full-on Canadian bias, but Javon Holland is an awesome player, one of my favorite players in the league. I can't let him leave. Like, even if this maybe isn't the smartest way to invest our money, 5-year, 57.5. He's getting paid. Unfortunately, now we are going to be down a corner, down a starting capable linebacker, and multiple other starters, including the offensive line, which really can't take many steps back, given how bad it is right now. Let's see if I can go through the roster and trim a little fat. A challenge of this rebuild is Tua already got his contract, so I have that completely out of my hands. I'm going to have to navigate his contract for better or for worse, which always increases the difficulty of what we're about to try to do over the next 5 to 10 years. Now, I know people can get a little finicky when you're changing offensive line positions around, but I think for the betterment of this roster, Austin Jackson has played guard and tackle throughout his time in the league. And I think because of that, I think due to our roster restraints, it makes the most sense to kick him back inside the guard where he's a starter. And that just allows us, we could fire sale off Terron Armstead, but it's not, he's likely playing one more year. So I don't think it's necessarily cheesy to keep, a lot of times when you want to trade players away, it's like you're going to be for, maybe you're going to be in your prime for another 2-3 years. You're not going to help us out too much. I think for the fact Armstead, I almost view that as a Band-Aid. We have a 1-year Band-Aid where, I don't even think the value that we could get in return for him is that crazy. I think the value is probably more so keeping him on the roster. Because, if you're making a realistic trade here, like Daron Payne from the command, that actually, that's not a brutal idea to take Daron Payne where we'd get a couple years out of him. We get a 2nd-round pick this year. But that's really the only trade that even makes any bit of sense. And even then, it's still I think we keep Armstead for 1 more year, and then he's gonna retire next season. Old people like Miami. Old people like living in Florida before, when they were time to retire. We'll do right by him. With that switch, it gets Patrick Paul, who from that build may even be more a natural right tackle. Anyway, he's at 6'8", 331 pounds, but he's 23 years old, 72 overall. Gives him an opportunity, a clear path to start next season, which I think is paramount for this team. Dude, that's how bad our D tackles are. All right, Mal, magically, we're going to be a little more interested in this move. Daron Payne got paid. Pretty big contract after 11.5 sack season, made the Pro Bowl. But since he's got paid, 4 sacks in 2023, 4 sacks in 2024. I think it's very valid if you're a Commanders GM. It's maybe a different change of scenery could be what he needs. I think also the fact that they're throwing that 2nd and 5th round pick in makes it, yep, that's what you want to do. Hey, you want a franchise tackle for Jaden Daniels? Maybe you get 2 seasons. If you get 2 seasons out of Armstead, I think this trade's pretty fair. I think if you only get 1 year, it's a little rich, especially that 2nd round pick. That was someone maybe a 3rd or a 4th, and you're only getting Armstead for a 1-year rental, makes sense. But the Commanders are, the game wasn't even remotely close, but they were a win away potentially from going to the Super Bowl. They need win-now players that can contribute. They don't need kind of expensive, underperforming players like Daron Payne, whereas you look at us in your Miami, we're trying to get tougher. Payne can help that on the defensive front. I think in the first round, we're definitely tackles are going to be in play. Kelvin Banks, Will Campbell could be on board here for the Dolphins. So I think ultimately this trade is probably in the best interest of the Dolphins, so we're going to make it. And that also brings me down to Bradley Chubb. Can't really stay healthy, not necessarily his fault, but I look at our pass rushers, I think Chopper Robinson and Jalen Phillips is the direction I want to go. So Chubb is still a solid player, but expensive, and I can definitely tell by the trade offers. A lot of times, even for players of Chubb's caliber, you get very one-sided trades that I have to say, we can't accept that trade. All these are kind of realistic in a certain degree. We get Trevin Wallace here from the Panthers. I don't love Wallace and Coulson. I think from a linebacking standpoint makes a lot of sense. I think Wallace stylistically, he's an absolute burner. What did he do for the Panthers? Did he crush it for the Panthers this year? If he didn't play much, I think I'll make a trade for him. If he did play a lot, he's he's a guy we're building around. Trevin Wallace, what do we got? 64 tackles, a sack, 2 forced fumbles, had 8 starts. He was a 3rd-round pick. I don't know. I'm not going to finesse a pay. Because look here. Jack Jones from the Raiders. We just lost Kohu, nickel corner. We get a 6th, 7th-round pick. It's a salary dump for us. So I think we'll accept that deal for the Raiders. And it's a win for the Raiders because they get Chubb, who, if he can stay healthy, is a great complementary option for the pass rush with Max Crosby. Agency just simply don't have enough money. We're actually less salary cap because of the 2 trades. Armstead was, I think, clean, but we did lose some money immediately on the Bradley Chubb trade. So, unfortunately, can't be active whatsoever in free agency. We need to do our work during the draft. So look at the most recent up-to-date mock draft ahead of the 2025 NFL Draft. Kind of playing out as expected. Walter Nolan's been a player that's been mocked to the Dolphins I've seen. He'd be a good get for our front 3. But sitting all the way here at pick 13, we got Kenneth Grant, the nose tackle, which I think after the Deron Payne trade doesn't make a whole lot of sense to go that direction. Both tackles, Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks, are available. That sounds pretty good. Ursery's still there. Tyler Booker's on the board. This looks like, man, this might be one of those situations, too, where like someone like Malachi Starks, who I think you could say, who's a dream pick? I asked Dolphin fans at 13. I got a lot of Kelvin Banks, a lot of Will Campbells, a lot of Malachi Starks. So that second round, depending on the safety board, might be able to make some magic happen. So the Miami Dolphins at pick 13 in the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft. We got our pick of the litter of our tackles. And I think we just did a rebuild with the Cleveland Browns where we selected Will Campbell. So I think all things equal, both these guys getting first round grades. And I'm going to be honest, I had a feeling that at least one of these 2 players, I was hoping Banks, just from a sake, like I haven't used him in a rebuild, was going to be available. That also played a part in my willingness and my change of opinion on trading Armstead, because it's like, well, if I trade Armstead for Deron Payne, from that, it makes a little bit of sense. We get the greased up wheel of throwing another second round pick in for me to move on from our superstar left tackle. And I think we could probably best invest pick 13 at a tackle. And that's what we're going to do here. Kelvin Banks Jr., the tackle from the Texas Longhorns. Number 20 in true value, getting him at pick 13. The dev trait's really all that we were looking for, and we got it. Should be able to develop him into a franchise tackle. Keep Tua protected. Dudes, I screwed the pooch. Got to the second round. Tyler Booker and Malachi Starks were there. Like, those are 2 guys that Dolphin fans would probably be fine with in the first round. They were still there in the second round. You guys had your Cooper DeJean moment of like a guy that you wanted in the first round was still there in the second round. We could go get him. I just had to be aggressive. Especially because we have 2 second round picks. I fucked this up. Oh, man. Because Tyler Booker went, and then I was like, okay, let's sim a couple more picks. And like, all right, the Jets went Milrow, and Malachi Stark's still on the board. Like, oh, still on the board, still on the board. Ignore the fact Genty's in the second round. It's just something that happens in these drafts. I was like, okay. It's like, holy shit, I got the 42, 43. Starks is still there. Home run! The Cowboys at 44, snipe them. Dude, and when you look at our roster, Booker and Starks, plug-and-play starters for us at positions that we desperately need. Like, we auto-generate our lineup here, right? So we're going to have Kelvin Banks at left tackle. We need a guard desperately. Desperately in the offense. We get a guard. We're probably rocking and rolling. No holes. You look at the defense. Deron Payne is going to play nose tackle, so we need a 3-4 defensive end. We need a strong safety. I think we can kind of... I like Channing Tindall's athletic traits to give him a chance to develop. 25, 6'2", with 91 speed, 94 stuff. Freak of nature. But maybe we can work with that a little bit. But we absolutely need 3-4 defensive end, a safety, and a guard. And there was a safety and a guard that walk into this starting lineup. I have 2 second-round picks. I just sat here holding the bag. I messed up, man. I absolutely regret. We got Eamon Warry is still on the board. What do we have at guard? Donovan Jackson from Ohio State. We have Tate Ratledge from Georgia. I mean, Jackson's not a bad pick at all. 3-4 defensive ends. I mean, Jared Ivey from Ole Miss could potentially play in that spot, but the stats don't look, and stats don't necessarily back up what is going to be a great player. In the interior, you got TJ Sanders from South Carolina and Shamar Turner could both kind of... Ooh, Sanders is a finesse move. A finesse move, C, elite speed. Now, it wasn't too long ago that I drafted Eamon Warry at safety. And also, we have Xavier Watts and Kevin Winston, who I scouted Winston coming off an injury out of Penn State. He's a first, second round talent. I'm looking at this board right now. We might be able to salvage this a little bit. If TJ Sanders, who I think Daniel Jeremiah had him in the first round going to the Eagles in his last mock draft, if he's as good as these stats indicate, we go him here now. He'll play defensive end for us, and then I can still grab a safety with our second round. This could work out. This might not be all doom and gloom, but these picks got to hit. Got to have dev traits. Sanders 120 in true value at 45, but he does have a dev trait and a very interesting profile. And then, unfortunately, man, we are just... We're not necessarily the players that I was saying for sure we're drafting, but he talked about Worry, Donovan Jackson going to go guard. They're all just going right before. It's going to be one of them rebuilds, I think. Ratledge, who we had scouted as well, he's got like a lot of... Hey, it's setting the tone early. But for us, we have our scouting done. Kevin Winston Jr., A hit power, B man, A tackle out of Penn State, so you know he's probably a legitimate athlete. And I guess the argument would be, would you trade... Oh, look at that, man. Number 30 in true value at 61. I was going to say, because if I wanted a Booker or a Malachi Starks, likely I'd have to do... It's almost fair to assume I'd have to trade, especially for a Booker when he went top 5 of the second round. You know, we wouldn't have 2 second-round picks this year. It would be one or the other. So I think, would you rather get one of a Tyler Booker, one of a Malachi Starks, or get Sanders, dev trait, rookie starter on the D-line, and Winston? I feel like 2-1 for the state of our roster. Especially we have no salary cap, so like getting good players like this under cost-controlled rookie contracts, I think it's the right call. Jonnu Smith's not getting any younger. We have Elijah Arroyo, who is absolutely the best deep threat at tight end in this year's class. A deep route running, fastest 40-yard dash time, elite agility, absolutely a Dolphins pick, and just kind of future-proofing the position because Jonnu Smith is 30, so he's likely, you know, at his... Oh, that's not a slam dunk pick, but I like the fit. So take a look at our draft recap. Pretty good draft. Had a lot of picks. We got Upton Stout, slot corner, 68 overall in the 7th round. Great value. We had Jackson, nose tackle depth. Ben Hart was just a freak athlete at tackle. Cornelius, 66 depth at guard. Jalen Royals, 5th round pick, 68 overall with 95 speed, 93 acceleration, 96 agility. Might have a chance to see the field before too long. That is big-time athleticism, which we love. I got Eugene Asante, the fastest linebacker that was available at the time, to come and play a little middle linebacker. Arroyo, 66, maybe a little low on his overall rating, but doesn't have to play right away because we have Jonnu Smith. Winston, to get this at the ass end of the 2nd round at pick 29, a 74 hidden dev trait safety is an absolute win. He's going to be a day 1 starter for us and play alongside the Canadian King, Javon Holland. Sanders only being a 69. The rating kind of sucks, but he's going to play a lot for us as a rookie. I'm not sure if it's right or left defensive end. I think he would be right defensive end, if I'm going to guess. I just want to see what happens to the rating. He's a 69 overall D tackle. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. It's either going to make this pick better or a little worse. And it's a little bit better. There we go. Now it brings him to a flush 70. And I feel a lot more optimistic about that. And then Banks, who's going to be our immediate left tackle after the Taron Armstead trade, 75 with a hidden dev. So I don't think you could ask for a much better draft than what we just had here in Miami. And let's see how these rookies perform and see if we can finish better than 8-9 because the talent on this roster is absolutely, at bare minimum, a above 500 team.
Go Eagles.
That was good. Oh, I was even recording first gold medal of the passing drill. Comes with Tua. I've never got gold. And Tua's the first. There we go. Tua time. I'm in. He's our. I was like, do I trade Tua if he sucks this year? I never record this because I always get silver. I'm always like 1 throw away from gold. Tua's my first gold. Wow. Super Bowl chance, baby. Let's get back into the rebuild. Let's go! Go Birds! All right, there's joy that I'm feeling this lovely Monday morning. I need to try to experience in video game format with this Dolphins team. Priority number 1, on the offense, we got to get Tua, Tyreek, and Waddle all getting going on the same page. Maybe you can throw a little H-Chan in there. I think very important for me for them to get going because if not, I absolutely will not hesitate to trade one of, probably not both, but I mean, Tyreek could be on the chopping block before too long. Offensive line, we need this to kind of all come together here. We got Kelvin Banks at left tackle, Patrick Paul at right tackle. These guys need to develop. Be great, enough Jackson and Brewer here can continue to develop as well and really only give us left guard as a position that we need to find a long-term starter at. We have Jonnu Smith, the veteran, who, again, we're going to kind of ride him into the ground because we don't have a lot of depth or a successor in place at tight end. Unfortunately, as Arroyo wasn't a slam dunk pick, but we'll figure it out. Defensively is where I think we're going to take massive strides. This was a defense that ran Vic Fangio, who just absolutely dominated and embarrassed the greatest offense of this generation. This is a defense. I think it was Jalen Ramsey. I think it was Xavier Howard. I think Javon Holland, as much as I don't want to throw my fellow Canadian on the bus, I was like, they just didn't want Vic Fangio there. Ran him out of town. He's too difficult. Well, we need to get that back. That is what we need to bring back into the building to figure out with this defense. We get the addition of Deron Payne now. Sanders, the rookie, and Siler should make a great front three. We need Chop Robinson and Jalen Phillips to get after the quarterback. We're going to be led by Jordan Brooks. We're going to hopefully be able to develop the big-time athlete in Tyndall. Winston and Holland should give us, especially in terms of upside, there's a lot of upside in that safety room. I think even a lot of upside in the secondary. Ramsey's a solid veteran, and by solid veteran, I mean he's a 95 X factor. Kendall Fuller is a really good veteran, and then we have the addition of Jack Jones hopping over from the Miami where'd he come from? The Raiders. We got Cam Smith from South Carolina. I think there's a little bit of opportunity to develop him there, but I think point blank period, the players are in place, but we need to go see them do it, because if not, I mean, we might have to do something we haven't done in any of our rebuilds. I don't think in any of our realistic rebuilds, maybe once, but I'll tell you right now, if with this talent, if we can't get it going, we might have to fire our head coach. Nerd alert, Mike McDaniel. At the mid-season point, 8-2. Now, I didn't think this Dolphins rebuild was, and I've talked about it since the very beginning, our roster is in place to be good, and I even threatened, it could be the coach, it could be a schematic thing. We are 8-2. Did just lose to Buffalo. Do have Pittsburgh playoff team, have Buffalo in a couple weeks playoff team. So we've got through kind of the easy part of the schedule, but look at how the offense is playing. Even the defense, number 2. I think the challenge of a Dolphins rebuild, I've seen all the comments too, people saying, hey, rebuild the Dolphins. That's why we're rebuilding them. They were the most requested team. I don't think the Dolphins rebuild was expected to be, we're going to suck for a couple years, and then once I have a couple drafts and free agencies, we'll be competitive. I think the Dolphins challenge is, we're a good team, but can I figure out a way, A, to get them over the hump, find those missing pieces to make them competitive, especially in the playoffs, and B, is to do all of that while navigating a team that's very expensive roster. We're going to go right now. Look at player negotiations. We have $7 million with Jalen Phillips, Kendall Fuller, Jack Jones, Jonnu Smith, technically Channing Tindall. We have the third white corner in the NFL, and Ethan Bonner. This is we can't afford. I think the best case is at the end of the year when we get a little bit of salary cap. It is kind of close to maybe get a contract extension with Jalen Phillips, but as it appears right now, this is something that we are dealing with year 5, year 6 of a rebuild, where it's I really want to keep this guy. Clearly, we should keep this guy. He's going to be an important piece of this rebuild, of this team going to compete for a Super Bowl. I have no money whatsoever to re-sign him. As corners go, I did focus scout corners this year because I didn't know that Fuller's contract was up this season, but with Fuller and with Jalen Ramsey, you had 2 kind of older corners, so I think it's best for us to start getting some youth movement there, but we're about to be down 2 corners, 2 of our starting corners, so we need to draft very, very well there in 2026. Quick update as well, I use sports gaming rosters. I've told you guys that time and time again. I was very upfront. I'm talking like I'm just exposing. I was very upfront in the fact that he updated his draft classes. We're using updated 2025. I'm using updated 2026. That class just dropped ahead of the Super Bowl yesterday, so you guys go check that out. As we look at this class, it has Drew Aller in it, Caden Proctor. There's been some updates to the ratings and some of the players. It just works a lot cleaner with the updated 2025 class, where there was the occasional overlapping player, which it's not necessarily a deal breaker. But as it relates to our team, corners. We need corner help. There is 4, 5, 6, 7 technically first round grade potential corners in this upcoming class. And one of them, maybe even 2 of them, will be Miami Dolphins. I guarantee it. Damn. We were 8-2? And we finished 10-7. So that wasn't great, and that kind of is how I pictured Dolphins football. Late season collapse kind of played out right in front of our very eyes here in year one of this rebuild. Look at the rankings, still almost a top 10 overall offense, top 5 rushing offense, top 5-ish defense. Actually surprised our defense played that well, all things considered. Take a look at these stats here. Tua, 24 touchdowns, 16 picks for a 85 superstar dev quarterback. Right on. That's brutal. H.N. was sick. 1,100 yards, 16 touchdowns for him. Jalen Wright with 6 touchdowns. That's a good little 1-2 punch there at receiving. At least we stayed. We still got our 2,000 yards. Tyreek, 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns. Almost 1,108 for Jalen Waddle. Like, that's enough for me to be like, maybe you don't need to trade them. Like, I'll take, that is the minimum. You want 2 1,000 receivers every year with both Tyreek and Waddle on the same roster. The rookie Jalen Royals, 700 yards, 5 from Jonnu Smith. H-Hand probably could get utilized a little bit more in the pass game. Defensively, Jordan Brooks goes over 100 tackles. We get 7.5 sacks on 10 TFLs for Deron Payne, 7 sacks for Chop Robinson, 6.5 for Jalen Phillips, 4.5 from Seiler. Such a good defense. I thought the sack numbers would be better. Our pick numbers are great. The rookie Kevin Winston leads the team with 4. Jalen Ramsey with 4. Fuller, who's going to be a free agent with 2. Jones, who's going to be a free agent with 2. Javon Holland with 2. A couple more sacks would have been great, but I'm not going to nitpick. That was a pretty solid effort from the defense. Go! Kevin Winston wins Defensive Rookie of the Year. Very rare for a safety to get that award. Love seeing that. We had a big-time matchup here in the wildcard round. Time to see if this Dolphins team, contenders or pretenders, going on the road in a cold-ass Buffalo Bills home game. The Bills we know what they are. This is a great opening view of, is this team really this good? Or are we still, even after a solid regular season, the Dolphins that we all know? It's something 34-31. We go in and we're showing a little bit of change. Jalen Ramsey, 11 tackles and a pick, gets Defensive Player of the Week. And that's an upset. No matter what way you look at it, we just took down the divisional champs in a game that this Dolphins team has, honestly, the games haven't even really been competitive. They've just got smoked. Tua, 3 touchdowns and a pick, out-duels Josh Allen. Run game was what it was. Tyreek Hill turning back the clocks there a little bit. I mean, yeah, Tyreek, he knows how to play and win in the cold from those years in Kansas City. But Hill and Waddle doing exactly what we need them to do. This is kind of like one of those games where it's like, okay, our expensive players played well. And if they do that, more often than not, we're probably going to be winning a bunch more games here in Miami. So what is our reward for getting a playoff win? Oh, it's just go take on the cheat code here. Hopefully there's a little bit of holdover from that Vic Fangio defense that can go out and just expose and embarrass the Chiefs again here in the divisional round, but it's going to be real tough. I'd love to see Tyreek Hill turn back the clocks, and unfortunately, just not enough juice to go against the final boss here. Year one of this real. I honestly, though, getting that one playoff win, especially how we got it against Buffalo in Buffalo, I feel overall positive about how this season ended. Now I'll feel even better. We get a little bit more salary cap so I can re-sign Jalen Phillips. But this matchup, defense just felt a little bit flat. Holmes 3 touchdowns and a pick. Their run game was twice as good as our run game. You cannot let Rashee Rice go for 200. 200 yards, dude? That is unbelievable. For a highly, highly rated defense. To let, it's not good enough. I guess somewhat silver lining, we lost to the team that wins all the time. So cleared out the locker room. We got dev traits to talk about. Somehow, someway, Tua keeps his superstar dev. I'm not going to complain. The amount of times we've been robbed out of dev traits in other rebuilds. The one time that we actually get a good roll in our favor, maybe unjust roll in our favor, you never can complain. Kelvin Banks was hidden dev for a first-round pick out of Texas, and he is a star. On the defensive side of the ball, as far as dev traits are concerned, we have Winston is the only guy going up or down. Everyone else maintained their dev traits. Kevin Winston, after winning Defensive Rookie of the Year, gets himself a superstar dev. What a pick. So we were banking on getting an increase in our total salary cap at the end of the year. because Jalen Phillips wants to be here. I wouldn't even have to overpay. But unfortunately, again, the challenge within this rebuild is going to be dealing with the salary cap, dealing with the expensive roster. It's so cool seeing Tyreek Hill go over 1,000 yards, and Devin Achane getting 1,400 yards, and Jalen Waddle going for 1,000 yards, and Jalen Ramsey getting 4 picks, and Deron Payne leading the team. All those things are kind of cool until you realize none of those guys outside Achane are on rookie contracts. They are all very expensive players, and now we're this one's going to sting. That's a starter that we do not have a replacement for. That is a starter we do not have a replacement for. This is a starter we do not have a replacement for. Oh, this is a starter I do not have a replacement for. Oh, he's also a starter that I do not have a replacement for. So was Jones, was a starter I do not have a replacement for. And on top of all of that, I don't even have enough salary cap to go get like all, cheaper developmental options. I have no money. We're poor. Do need to trim a little bit of fat this year. So Ingold, solid fullback, but you just can't be paying a fullback $4 million. No way. So as we start the 2026 NFL draft, my focus scouting was corner. So we're going to have the most information at pick 26 to go after a corner. Look at how the board kind of fell. We got corner going to the Raiders, corner going to the Seahawks, corner going to the Colts, corner going to the Panthers. So, of course, the one spot we really need to go, a lot of those picks. But we have a lot of different needs for this team. Wow, Caleb Downs is still there. Very interesting. Ayamaleva is still there. Very interesting. However, safety is far from... honestly, Caleb Downs is good enough. You could just play him like a nickel corner. But for our team needs, we need a lot. We need a guard. And, of course, there's no one that's even remotely close to being... a slam dunk at 26. You got Ernest Green here from Georgia. B pass block, B run block. I guess if the corners are completely depleted, we could look in that direction. We now need a lot of help in the pass rush department after losing Jalen Phillips. And we have Derek Moore from Michigan, could play that role. We have Dennis Sutton from Penn State, who could play that role. We have Harold Perkins. I'm not going to lie. He's probably going to be maybe the best pick we could go out and get. We got value here in Landon Barton. We had him scouted first, second round talent. He's going third, fourth round, so that could be someone maybe more. So we'd have to overdraft, but he could be a second round pick for us. For the corners that I did scout, we got a first, second round talent on Jermaine Matthews. We have a second, third round talent on Javion Cole. Not much as far as steals are concerned. So I think we take this opportunity. Honestly, seeing how the board is, we need not being able to bring back Phillips is gigantic. So we have to go out and get ourselves a pass rusher. And Harold Perkins, niche pass rusher. But who's niche, athlete above all? Athlete above traditional. I think it's how McDaniel would run his team. He go, what is this? This is a pass rusher, undersized, severely undersized. I'd be shocked if he's even 6'1". He's like, he has 93 acceleration, 93 agility, 92 speed, and he's a pass rusher? I'm going to pair that with Chop Robinson, and we're going to make it a goddamn track meet to the quarterback. Now in the second round, in pick 26. Now we can go look at maybe the corners if someone is still available. That's very interesting from a group that we scouted, and it is Cole here from Arizona. Is still definitely represents a value selection. Looking at the man zones, BC on Pride, BD on Cole. Do we still have Barton? Lander Barton is still way down there, dude. That could be an aggressive trade up. We have a guard. DJ Campbell from Texas. Kutas. Looking at, where do we have to get a player? We need a right guard. You can make the debate. We need a guard and a tight end on offense. Everything else should be fine. Defensively, we're going to put Harold Perkins right there. We could use a middle linebacker. It probably is corner here. I'd love the opportunity to develop Cam Smith. He was awesome at South Carolina with J.C. Horn. But I'm fine developing him as a 3. not a 2, not an outside starting 2. But then the question is, are we going to find an outside starting corner here in the second round with the board the way it is? Because the top guys that I didn't even scout, they don't look anything. You got B zone, B press on Toivano. C's across the board for Johnson. Nothing really standing out of AJ Harris, also the fact he has A tackling. C-man, C zone, B press for Colin Wright out of Stanford, but he's a day 3 player. Humphrey, that's interesting. B-man, A in catching, A in tackling. Well, let me look at this Cole guy. Is he fast? We got burner speed on him. B-man, 5'3". I mean, he looks like a nickel. He absolutely is a nickel. I think the play here is we go Cole and then we trade up in the third round, to get Barton, the linebacker, because we need a linebacker after losing Tyndall. So hopefully we get something here with Cole. Love to see a depth trade, 59 in true value at 58, so it's pretty much a perfect pick as far as value is concerned, but there is no dev trade. So we're going to move up 20 spots in the third round. I'm throwing 2 fifth-round picks this year. My board's going to be shot after the selection anyway, but we're going to be able to be aggressive. I was waiting until the first linebacker went off the board. Roberts goes to the Seahawks. We're going to go, okay, we're going to get a guy that for sure I think will be a competent day 1 starter. Lander Barton out of Utah. Number 26 in true value at 70. No depth trait. But he's going to start. He's probably going to get a lot of tackles and put himself in a great spot to earn a depth trait, if not by Defensive Rookie of the Year honors, but by the fact he's going to get a lot of stats. We need tight end help, and we have Nyblack, formerly of Alabama, transferred to Texas, but he's just another Dolphins pick. Fastest, elite, speed tight end. And really, we're just looking for someone that might pop with a dev trait. 106 in true value at 122. Damn, no dev trait. Today, look at our draft recap. A draft, holy shit, 77 putter. I wasn't even going to highlight it when I drafted. He was number 14 in true value. I was like, it's just punter. Jeez, you get punters better. Didn't know 77. But for our limited picks, I mean, kind of crushed it. Got Dansby there, 67. He was just one of those, like, late. I had a day 3 grade on him for fully scouting. I was like, all right, sure, whatever. But we get Nyblock, 70. We get Lander Barton, 75. Cole, 72. 75. Dev trait for Perkins. Bad news, normal dev, normal dev, normal dev, normal dev, normal dev. But the good news is that's a lot of guys that you could throw out there starting as rookies that probably aren't going to be complete liabilities. That's a good haul. That's a good roll. Great roll. So there's no doubt that we need to address the corner room. We weren't able to fill all of our team's needs from one draft. So we looked at the trade block, and Juju Brent's 26.75 star dev corner on the block. He's in a contract here. So clearly the Colts are like, we're not going to re-sign you. Let's see if we can get anything. So I'm going to throw in Kamara, who's on a rookie contract, 70, left outside linebacker, which is a need. As you can kind of vaguely see behind Brent, it was the second biggest need, as well as a 4th-round pick. Good value. We're the midway point of year number 2. And 2 and 4, man. We're losing games we should be winning. We're right ahead of the trade deadline. It might be time. It might be time to at least explore certain options. If you're gonna sell on Tyreek Hill, it'd be right now to a playoff contender that absolutely needs him. Now, we're going through the trade offer mechanism in franchise mode, and you gotta sift through the weeds. Like, that trade would never happen. Not good value. Maybe. No, not happening. No, not happening. Maybe. I could see a team like the Patriots being like, we need a game changer at wide receiver. We'll throw you a guard. But, I mean, that's Tyler Booker. He was a 2nd-round pick. But, honestly, that's really good value. Bring Christian Wilkins back. We got Kyler Gordon and a 2nd-round pick from the Seahawks, Joey Porter. That's probably not happening. Honestly, I like this trade. I'm trying now to debate, is this a realistic trade or not? I think from the standpoint that, like, Tyreek Hill is... We still have the number 5 passing offense this year, even though our win-loss record is shit. Tyreek Hill is going to get probably 1,300 yards. Still playing at a high level. If you're viewing this from a Patriots standpoint of they need Drake May to have a bona fide wide receiver 1 for a season or 2, you get that in Tyreek Hill, but would they give up Tyler Booker? Well, we know Tyler Booker was a 2nd-round pick, so they're not trading a 1st-round pick. And we need a guard. And we're not, you know what? I'll take that. Because you're not getting a second round pick. We're not getting a first round pick. The picks that are getting thrown in are kind of fodder. Would you, if you were a Patriots, have an opportunity to get Tyreek Hill, who in this world is on pace for another well over 1,000-yard season, had 1,000 yards last year, still a superstar. I think that this is at minimum, even if you hate this trade, this is at minimum still something you think about if you're the general manager of the Patriots. If you have an opportunity to go get a wide receiver one for, let's just say he's 32, so you get a wide receiver one for 2 more years. To pair that with Drake May, would you give up a second-round pick at guard? Probably. You'd probably at minimum consider it. We're going to do this. And just because I feel a little bad after making that trade, I'm also going to throw in a third-round pick. So Tyler Booker was a second-round pick. Now I feel like I've overpaid and I can live with it. So we're eating a little bit of money, certainly on that trade with Tyreek Hill, but I think it might give us a little bit of breathing room here at Week 7. We have $145 million to at least navigate our roster. Because I think even with Tyreek Hill there, we are probably still underwater here a little bit, salary cap-wise. So we have Sanders at kicker, real solid kicker. And I feel like now that we have a surplus of salary cap, might as well keep the solid kicker in the building. We got Achane, who obviously will get him in locked in 6-year, $54 million. Ultimate utility piece on the offensive side of the ball. Juju Brents, who we just made the trade for, is interested in saying, I think, a 3-year deal, maybe even a 4-year. I think at the end of that 4 year, he'd probably be low 80s at worst, like a really good corner 3. He's looking for less than $3 million a year. Now, we have to go on and develop him, but I think that could very much age well contract-wise. We got Seiler looking for a 1-year rental. Sure, just one last position I have to worry about in the upcoming draft. Maybe you got to pay a little bit more money. I think Austin Jackson at guard, I think it's another luxury of like, is this guy elite? No, but is he solid? Yes, and we can lock him up for the remainder of his prime for like $25 million. You ain't gonna complain about that too much. Cam Smith, I mean, now he's kind of surplus, so we'll move on there. So we'll come back for Seiler. Then we just got Brooks and Payne. They're kind of the question marks. Brewer at center. I mean, you know what? Brewer at center, again, 2-year deal. Keep him for the rest of his prime. Absolutely. One less position I got to worry about. But Brooks and Payne are interesting. I feel like Payne is already like at his ceiling. So do we want to pay that for a player that's at his ceiling? But I think the argument now comes in, it's just still 2 more years of solid play at a position that I just don't have to draft a final replacement. So I think for that, we'll see. Probably needs another $1 million or 2 more. And then for Jordan Brooks, I don't like a 4-year deal here. If you'll take 3, maybe we overpay. I'll go 3, and I'll hit you with 5.2 and 7.5. 3 year, 38 mil. God damn it, come on. We're going to get Deron Payne locked in for another 2 more seasons. We get Seiler back on a 1-year. And we get Jordan Brooks back on a 3-year. Now that was a sinking ship. A year after going 10-7 and making the playoffs, getting a playoff win. The Miami Dolphins, 6-11. Dude, not good. Number 30. Our defense was elite last year. Now we're one of the worst. And we got rid of Tyreek Hill. That was the big change. I mean, we also lost Jalen Phillips, lost some other guys, but I mean, Tua's just not playing at anywhere near the level his contract needs him to play at. But we are at a crossroads of like, I can't move that contract right now. It's not Deshaun Watson, Cleveland Browns bad, but it's certainly an issue that we're going to have to navigate. Achane not going over 1,000 yards, very frustrating. 11 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle, stepping up as our wide receiver 1. That's why we had a little bit of a confidence in our ability to survive if we move on from Tyreek Hill. And I think Jalen Waddle is a big-time playmaker. Jalen Royals, solid, big-time speed. Nye Black developed into a hell of a player, kind of out of nowhere. It was like a mid. He ended up being a 70. Finishes his rookie campaign is a 76 scheme fit. So that's definitely a hit from a draft class standpoint. And again, just struggling to get Achane involved in the pass game. When he goes over 1,000 yards from scrimmage, 13 touchdowns, which, I mean, bare minimum for a player. He's almost a 90 overall. Defensively, we got Jordan Brooks, tackle machine. Our sacks continue to be 3-4 defense sack numbers. So I'm gonna pivot. I'm sick of this shit right now already. Fucking bullshit 3-4. Like, oh yeah, well, how about we just stay and try to win with the Dolphins defense as I watch all my fucking guys reach their ceiling. Chop Robinson, he's not gonna. The talent is there. Harold Perkins, the talent is there. But because we are who we are, they're playing like complete dog shit. So defense coordinator getting fired, tell you that right now. Offensively, I think we stay with where we're at, but it's on notice. But defensively, that is garbage. So clearing our lockers to it. Yeah, I mean, we got lucky last year. We're going to get lucky 2 times in a row. Loses his superstar dev, 87 star. Still should play a lot better, 87 overall. Achan's a 90. Waddle, probably the only guy offensively that can hold their head up high. But now that we go forward, I mean, we need a wide receiver, but at least we have now a key piece on the offensive line in Tyler Booker. Him and Banks. Paul, contract coming up. Like, I feel like solid enough O-line. We're not going to have to really throw much investments there for the foreseeable future. But we definitely need to go find another wide receiver, big-time wide receiver, because we know that when this offense is humming, we can facilitate 2 1,000-yard receivers. And I think Royals, be cool to have him more as like a wide receiver 3 role player. Defensively, I mean, just very frustrating with the Saxon performance. I mean, Perkins and Robinson need to be getting way more production. Between Chop, Perkins, Seiler, Deron Payne, Sanders, the sacks have been embarrassing. Secondary numbers have been fine. Like Winston keeps his dev trait. Ramsey keeps his dev trait. And he's starting to get up there. And what's he, 30 now? 32. Jesus. He's an old head. Now, I'm not going to come out here and say that age, I didn't think he was that old. And he's the same age as me. I'm not going to say I'm going to trade him. But if I am going to trade him, it'd be now. But we are going to fire this DC. And we're going to play the role of, we've been playing a lot of 3-4 defenses lately. So we kind of know what can be a sick defense. Philadelphia's 3-4. Essentially we could bring back Vic Fangio here. Yeah, the Patriots, their defense kind of sucks. A lot of Eagles defense. Tennessee, not my favorite. Jacksonville, nah. Raiders, nah. Buffalo, I mean, that's wrong scheme. The Rams, Detroit, Philly, a lot of Eagles, man. It's coming up like, hey, just bring back the Fangio style. Literally could not have any more Fangio style. I think that's what we got to do. I'm going to go with whichever Fangio defense had the most points, the hiring bonus. 86, what do we got here? 86, Maurice Hearn. Let's go. Bring back Fangio. To start our offseason, we're going to decline the 5th-year option on Chop Robinson. He is a part of our big plan, so let's get his long-term extension over with as soon as we possibly can next season. But in free agency, wide receiver is a big need, and of course, there is a nice role, uncommon role. Don't usually see Jordan Addison hit the open market. 25 years old, 87 with a star dev, would certainly fit the bill, but there's zero interest there. Could overpay, but he's probably going to need $25 million. There's 12 teams interested just to see where we stand in the bid. We are not even on the short list. So, I mean, that's what happens. We do the realistic rebuilds. We make free agency difficult. It usually works out. It's usually not a big deal because I don't love to build my team through free agency. When I do, we make sure it's a right call. Travon Walker's an interesting one because we have Seiler on a 1-year. Walker, kind of hybrid. Could fit the bill. He's looking for 15. It's an interesting one. Like a 3-year deal there. I'll put that in, and we'll just see where we're at. That's really the only guy that's in. I love Simpson if we didn't bring back Jordan Brooks, just to have like 2 freak athletes there. But look, we're barely making the short list on Travon Walker. Oh, he picks us! All right, let's go. Active in free agency a little bit. So landing Travon Walker in free agency, that's a big get. That's a guy that could turn things around a little bit on that defense. But as we go into the final draft class of realistic college players, we have some of the biggest names in college football are going to be members of that 2027 draft class. Dylan Stewart, Jeremiah Smith, Arch Manning. Thought about maybe even trading up for Arch Manning. And it was a good year for us to suck because we have just outside a big-time pick. And now I'm going to be honest. Top three, trade up to top three is going to be very expensive. And I think that where we are as a roster, with the uncertainty at quarterback, we can't, like, we're in that weird spot where it's not really similar to Deshaun Watson and Cleveland in regards to, like, you just can't play Deshaun Watson on top of you can't move off his contract. The reality is, Tua Tagovailoa, we can't move off of his contract, but he's still an 87 overall quarterback. So what I'm thinking is I don't think we're necessarily in the ballpark to trade up for Arch Manning. That's going to be very expensive, and we have a lot of holes that would cost us multiple first-round picks. Same with Jeremiah Smith. You move on from Tyreek Hill. It's not because we don't love having two great wide receivers in Waddle and Hill. It's just salary didn't line up with where the value was, and moving on from him at that point in time was smart, especially because we could pick up a starter on the O-line. However, Ryan Williams, it's one of those things where it's because Jeremiah Smith and the run that Ohio State went on, he's the guy you think of. But the reality is Ryan Williams, there's a time he was taking over college football as well. He is a dominant force in the SEC. And there's going to be people that have SEC bias that's going to say Ryan Williams, what he did was maybe, I don't necessarily say it was more impressive, but you're almost going 1A, 1B for Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams for, like, who is the mega big dog at wide receiver in college football. Because Ryan Williams, what he was able to do in Alabama was ridiculous. I want him. So if we only have to move up one spot to get him, that is in terms of price needs to be paid, drastically different than what we would need to get up into the top 5, into the top 3 to get a Smith or Manning. Ryan Williams is the guy I want to get. Let's go get him. So to move, I'm not even going to try to trade. The Cardinals don't want to move out of that spot. They want Ryan Williams. So I'm going to actually move a pick ahead of the Cardinals, trading up 2 spots. I'm going to give up my 4th-round pick this year, my 3rd-round pick next year, which is a valuable 3rd-round pick. We always talk about it, 2028 class. That's when we get to the Madden generated draft classes. That's where I can do a lot of my work. So it pains me to give up a 3, but to jump up 2 spots, it's not going to be crazy, but you are going to have to give them something good. And I think a 3rd and a 4th more than compensates moving up 2 spots, considering from the 49ers standpoint, we're not taking anybody that they're interested. They want to tackle. By all means, trade back and get your tackle. So we sit put, waiting. The number 6 pick in the draft. Now, I also did scout the quarterbacks outside, and I'm going to say right now, oh my God. Are you telling me you're giving me UDFA grade for DJ freaking Lagway? I did scout Mahomes, baby Mahomes, and Raiola, but I mean, there's just no way he's going to be available in the 2nd round. So that was a little bit of a bummer that the quarterbacks there kind of stink, but we are in a place to get Ryan Williams. That's who we want to get. We want our Tyreek Hill successor, our Tyreek Hill replacement, our wide receiver 1B to our 1A in Jalen Waddle. We're going to reunite some Alabama boys, and Ryan Williams is number 2 in true value, getting him at pick 6, even though he looks like he's a 38-year-old man. 95 acceleration, 97 agility, 97 speed, dev trait. Let's go. Picking in the 2nd round, this is where if he was even like remotely good, I would draft DJ Lagway here, full on Florida Gator bias. There will be a point in time where I'm going to say screw it. I'm doing a DJ Lagway rebuild. Now's not the time because there's just that value is awful. But there will be a time that I won't give a shit. There will be a time, honestly, this will be a situation where I don't have a quarterback and I was gambling. Like, I'll probably forget that DJ Lagway is this bad. I'm going to say, screw it. I'm going to draft DJ Lagway. I'm going to develop him into a player. If he's there, they maybe in the 3rd round. If somehow, like, the value, the talent pushes him to the 3rd round, I'll go and I'll draft him there. But right now, I don't think we can. So if we're not going to go quarterback, our positions of need, D-tackle, corner, I forgot freaking how freaking old that Jalen Ramsey is. We have Kobe Black from Texas, B-Man, C-Zone. Which, I mean, just off of that alone, I don't think I'd hate that selection. We also have D-tackle. Deron Payne's not getting any younger. And look at the D-tackles. We have Justin Scott from Miami, who has A, finesse move, B, block shed. Vic Burley looks solid. Oh, man, I don't know. Let me see here. A, finesse move. B, block shed. C, tackle. 32 reps ain't bad. Legitimate athlete, 310 pounds. Miami. Hey, you know, why not? Ugh. If he has a depth trait, I'll be fine with that. But the value and where we drafted him, not the best. But he does have a depth trait. We can live with that. So unfortunately, after that second round pick, we didn't pick again to the 5th round. So not going to be a super strong draft class. We got D'Angelo Pons, was a ball hawk for Indiana last year. A Samoa at guard. We got Mikey Matthews from UCLA at wide receiver. Decent enough ratings, but Scott, 70 with a depth trait. Good developmental player that can learn a thing or two behind Deron Payne and hopefully be a successor. And then get Ryan Williams. I mean, absolute stud at pick 6, 78, number 2 overall player in true talent. And I think we're going to be able to do some very, very special things with him in this offense. And maybe, just maybe, get things back on track for Tua. Can we get him over 30 passing touchdowns? Can we get our $200 million quarterback over 30 passing touchdowns in a season? We'll find out. What are the vibes that Ryan Williams kind of gave? Oh, he's just going to go in the wide receiver drill against Jalen Ramsey at X Factor. It's kind of like, how's he going to do? He's going to get a gold medal? And with gold medal online, can we get it? 97 speed, beat him off the line. We're going to try to cheese him. Oh, break his ankles! And Tua throws a late ball and cost us a gold medal. Classic Tua. So this is kind of, in a way, shaping into be like a little bit of a new Dolphins team. Mix of the old, mix in the new. Will do. Full disclosure. Focus scouting this year is quarterback. And it's probably going to be quarterback for the foreseeable future because we just, Yeah. Not saying we're going to be like aggressive in like trading the farm to get a top 5 pick like Johnson or Gore here. But I want to make sure we do our homework so that we get maybe like a guy that's outside the top 15, a guy maybe in the 2nd round that pops as a legitimate guy. We'll find him. And I think that's going to kind of have to be our path forward with Tua being, limited so far in this reboot. But 4-3 is not a bad spot to be at all. Way better than where we were a year ago. We're only 2 wins away from our win total last year, which even that was underperforming. It still is progress, getting back on the right track. And another big thing is we have money now. Not crazy money, but we got money. $33 million of salary cap. Siler, we have his replacement. Jalen Wright, we just don't need an RB2. Patrick Paul and Chopper obviously need to get paid. Do we have enough for this? Worried. We have 6 years, 119 for Chop. Done. No, this is going to be bad. I'm going to be optimistic. Maybe we'll get some cash at the end of the year because that's not a gigantic number to make work. But damn it, man. That's frustrating. Taking a guy, too, that just was like a bench guy that a lot of Dolphin fans think he could develop into something. We're seeing it before our very eyes, him develop into something. Don't want that to leave the building. So we'll try our best to make it happen in the offseason. But if not, again, we circle back around. Rebuilding this Dolphins team is not so much about finding talent. The talent is kind of there. It's harnessing said talent and finding postseason wins and navigating a not great salary cap situation. And this could get ugly. All right, back in the playoffs, end of year 3. We go 9-8, so we're definitely probably the least attractive record-wise team in the playoffs. But we're in the playoffs. That's all that really matters. Top 10 offense, number 7 rushing. Our defense is back up. Bipolar defense. But hey, the Vic Fangio defense back in the building. Defense was very good year 1. Terrible last year. Fire the DC appropriately. We bring back a little Vic Fangio, a little bit of toughness. No more kicking rocks. And we're back playing at a pretty high level. Looking at the stats this season, part of a 9-8. God damn it, Tua. God damn it! Why? I'm glad we're scouting quarterbacks. I feel like this offense has more to offer. But, that's better than where he was last year. 26 touchdowns, 10 picks, 70% percentage. HN did the damn thing. 1,200 yards, 20 touchdowns. Love seeing that. We get 2,000-yard receivers. Jalen Waddle over 1,000 yards. And Ryan Williams, one of the most prolific receivers that we've ever seen have a freshman campaign in college football. 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, might be front runner for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Defensively, Jordan Brooks, 95 tackles, 6 interceptions, 3 picks. The linebackers go crazy. The sacks aren't that nuts. Not getting the sack numbers that we love, but interceptions are great. And at minimum, Sack numbers are a little bit better, even if it's only 15, 20% better than where they were a year ago. I mean, that's pretty sick return on investment, landing Travon Walker as our big first and only free agency signing in this rebuild. Ooh, love seeing that. In a conference that the top 2 quarterbacks land, the guy that kind of took all of his momentum because there's just another insane freshman wide receiver in Jeremiah Smith and what he's able to accomplish at Ohio State. But Ryan Williams is the man that gets offensive rookie there and probably solidifies himself making the thumbnail of today's video. Also, honorable mention, close no cigar, HN getting running back of the year. But I think with the stats, he's on that star dev. Very optimistic we'll have him be a superstar at season's end. Hopefully, after winning the Super Bowl and going on a Cinderella run. But we got big dogs in front of us. We beat them last time we made the playoffs. 13-4 Buffalo Bills, the #1 defense. Hey, we know Buffalo Bills defense, probably my favorite 4-3 defense in all of Madden. They're very good. Oh, god damn it, Tua. Fuck, man, we can't win with them. What is that? 10 points? Overtime law. I mean, the inverse of that also, as you can see, didn't play. I was just about to say is, well, I mean, Josh Allen didn't do shit either. And he's a different species of quarterback than from Tua. But, man, oh my god, our run defense just got ran the fuck over. Dude, Ryan Williams, love seeing him. His first playoff game, get a touchdown, have a pretty good showing. Harold Perkins, who's quiet. He only had 2 sacks all year, gets 2 in the playoffs. Chop Robinson with 2.5. So how do we get 6.5 sacks? 7.5 sacks? 8 sacks? And fucking lose, man. Damn it. So at the end of the season, depth trades. We lose the superstar on Jalen Waddle. What? Was he 29? Okay. Expected. 29 is, unless you're ridiculous, Father Time, that's what happens. But HN gains a superstar. We have our superstar in Ryan Williams. This might pain me a little bit to do, but he's probably our wide receiver 1 of the future. We still got Jalen Waddle, and we're not going to disrespect him by saying he's a role player. He's still a 89 overall star. He's great. Still one, but now it's not a 1A and 1A2. It's firmly now like we have a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 2 that's maybe the best wide receiver 2 in football, with no disrespect to his teammate Devontae Smith. We look like we got a couple extra bucks salary cap wise, so I'm confident we'll be able to get a contract extension there with right tackle Patrick Paul to continue his development on the defensive side of the ball. Deron Payne loses his dev trade, but we drafted Scott here out of Miami in the second round to be successor, which is pretty cool. Chop Robinson up to a superstar somehow. I don't know how that happened. Jordan Brooks loses his superstar. Jalen Ramsey keeps his X factor. Ain't mad at it, even though I think the year that he had maybe would have been cool to give Travon Walker a superstar as well. But to start the offseason, we're going to decline the 5th-year option on Kelvin Banks because we're going to give him a big-time contract extension next year. We have Patrick Paul, who absolutely deserves a contract extension. We'll hit him with a, let's make that 78, 4 years, $78 million. Let's go. Homegrown talent for the win. Now looking at free agency, I'm going to be a little aggressive if I can, because I think sooner than later we're going to have Tua's contract off the books. That is kind of the plan. The Philadelphia Eagles got absolutely rocked in this free agent period as Nolan Smith's available. You have Cooper DeJean available. Quinyon Mitchell is available. Jalen Carter is available, which makes absolutely no sense. I think we try it. I think we try it, dude. I don't know where we're going to come, but that is a big offer for the exciting white. Let's go. As much as that pains me to do as an Eagle fan, if they're going to hit the open market, why not? All's fair in love and war. So it is draft season. I focus scouting quarterbacks, and I think we're going to have to do that for this year, next year, because, time's ticking, and clearly we're at a ceiling with our very expensive quarterback. However, unfortunately, looking at the QB class this year, we're not picking top 5. If Ben Johnson here at Tennessee falls a little bit, maybe. But the fact of the matter is, unless we get very lucky with like one of these day 3 guys that look like they might be all right, have like an elite trait or something like that, probably not the year we're going to find our quarterback, and we're going to need to focus a little bit more on that next season. So that's a little bit of a bummer, and we'll take the draft board as it may. I think you look at where a team could get better. Interior offensive line could get a little bit upgrade. I think linebacker, Jordan Brooks still playing at a high level, but he's pretty much at his expiration date as well. Wide receiver. I mean, we have Jalen Waddle regressing right in front of our very fucking eyes for some reason, because that's just the state of Madden. So, I mean, a lot of different directions we can go. Unfortunately, quarterbacks not looking likely as one of them. All right, let's rock and roll. 2028 NFL Draft. We're going to wait till all the way to pick 20. Our needs: inside linebacker, center, wide receiver. Like, we are absolutely in a kind of BPA because the quarterbacks don't look particularly great. We have Leonard Gore, who's available, who slipped, who fell. There's probably a reason why he fell. Does he have elite throw? He does have elite throw power. But he's a third, fourth round talent. Which, it's interesting. It's an interesting spot because you just know he's gonna suck. You just know he's probably gonna be in the 60s. Are we gonna roll a dev trade or not? All right. I mean, other positions, secondary positions for us. We need guard and center. At guard, well, we got Dobbins down here, top 100 player. He has a pass block, which looks pretty good. At center, I was able to scout Parrish, who also had a pass block. There's going to be immense value there. We need a new starting center. We have Hatchet. Huh? Is that how we pronounce it? C pass block. Looks kind of shit for a first rounder still at guard. So, I mean, we don't want to, and then you go linebacker. Well, what do we got at linebacker? Like a completely devalued position. Scouted. I got Jem here and Greg Kennedy. First, second rounder. Odom. See, not every time I focus scout a player are they an absolute hit. That was a little bit of a waste. Dude, we are in a very, very interesting spot here. Where I'm going to be honest. This could be because we're going to see what the market's saying for pick 20. The Colts really want this pick. Offering me their first next year, their second and third next year, a future third. That is absolutely bizarre. The reality is, I think with how my board looks, I'd rather something like this, where I gain a third-round pick this year, where I can do a little bit of that work. We've already traded our third-round pick in a future deal, and I still get that future for it. But I mean, that is just so much value. I mean, they probably want like the quarterback or something like that. I think honestly at this spot, trading's the best. And if you're going to offer me that amount of value, who am I? We'll finesse you. I think we go with the best player available on our board, which is Greg Kennedy. Out of LSU, 8-tackle, B pursuit, C-zone coverage. Not really the best physicals, if I'm being honest with you. I'm not gonna lie, kind of screams like he'd be like a 75 normal dev. I don't know. He's 95. Just the only, but we need the center. I probably need a center more than 116. Would he still be available? I think we got to go center, just because I need a starting center. And I have a better feeling this guy's gonna have a dev trait than the linebacker. They don't even give me the scout rate. Number 26 in True Value 52. Fuck! So we traded. We have to sit out the third round, so we're probably losing a lot of our board there, unfortunately. I bet you the linebacker's gone, which, of course, he is. All the guards are gone. Fuck, man. Now, I have a gem at wide receiver. And you guys are going to see why he's a gem. Kind of just wait. I mean, it's one of those ones you can wait. You can wait a little bit. As, honestly, a couple boys running real fast. We got Hearns here out of Oklahoma, who this is the guy that I really want, because especially you throw the shuttle in there. That's absolutely disgusting. We don't need to pull the trigger there. The same can be said. There's some quick running backs in this year's class. 4.4 is slightly uncommon. And this Crocker guy looks real good. We lost Jalen Wright. He is A carrying. Another like UDFA grade player. Like that guy looks outstanding. The quarterbacks. Do we still have any? We have 2 of our day 3s remaining. We have Whitehead. Ooh, let's see what his stats look like. B's and C's at 6'6", 240 out of Alabama. Elite throw power. 4.89. I mean, he's not necessarily, doesn't have the mobility, but it's Alabama's a good pipeline. Or we have Levi Matthews from Alabama, Birmingham. All B's, better key rating, not as prototypical size, but also elite throw power and strength. I mean, we'll just take a flyer. If it's good, hey, elite throw power, I'm a sucker for it. I also, a lot of times, have drafted elite throw power guys. If you ever see when I look at my draft recap and you get the rare below 60 overall players, they tend to be me falling in love with elite devs. He's 146 in true values. It's not a crazy pick. Oh, we get the dev trait. Now I got to go look at the other guy. Now there's going to be a what if. But, I mean, for a late round flyer, I mean, the rate's probably going to be dog shit, but a dev trait 95 cannon quarterback, it's not the worst thing to have on our roster, and not a high pick. So, like, if next year we get a good first rounder that's worth maybe even trading the farm for, we could still do so because it's not like we burned a first, second, third round pick on this quarterback. Well, Jalen Waddle's starting to regress. We have Dalton Hearns here out of Alabama, UDFA grade player, but he has A, deeper running, B, catching traffic, elite speed, change of direction, agility, acceleration. We all know these guys. Now, he's not the 4.24 guy, but number 47 in true value at 140, and there's no dev trade again. Okay, what is going on, man? That running back that I wanted, that was clearly UDFA, already going. I think he went in the 5th round. So that's sensational. What about that other 4.2 speed wide receiver? Wasn't he around here somewhere? Maybe we'll just double up at wideout. We have Holcomb. That's the only one left. What do you got? C deep route running. I mean, honestly, even at this side, it's like, screw it. Go back again. 120 in true value at 180. There's still... There you go. We're just building this team the same way. And maybe one of these guys has crazy carrying. It could be your new H-hand. So looking at our draft recap. Parrish, 75 in the second round. No first round pick, but that haul that we got from the Colts, we're going to be feeling that and feeding off this draft for many years to come. 75, great value. Normal dev, bummer. Hearns, 74, UDFA grade. Normal, brutal. Got 69 there on Holcomb. Got a 70 burner at fullback because we actually utilize the fullback here a little bit. The quarterback, though, Levi Matthews. I mean, again, I don't want to make a mountain out of a mole here. Who knows? He's not going to play over 2 of this year. But, hey, you could have way worse developmental quarterbacks. But just a brutal draft, man. A couple guys we felt real good about day 3 all get overdrafted. I guess everyone else knew about them. But all things considered, we got 2 first-round picks next year, bunch of extra seconds and thirds. It's only the beginning. And looking at the rest of the class, the best player went in the 4th and 3rd round. I don't know if I've seen too many 4th-round 78 corners. For me, though, I want to look at the quarterbacks. Weatherford, was he the other guy that we're talking about? I feel like it wasn't. 68 there. Whitehead. 68, 6. So we made a 1 point better investment. And Whitehead doesn't have a dev trait, so that is a win. I also, I think that running back, man, was got to be sick. Crocker, I think was his name. Crockett. Where did he go? He go 5th? He was a UDFA. 73, dude. Oh no. Dude, we have HN. I was looking for an RB2. RB2 has got decent production for us. But anytime you get that butterfly, as a drafter, the butterflies in your stomach type pick that's a UDFA guy, you really want to get him, and that would have been an awesome pick. Damn it. Year 4 into contract negotiations. This is going to be our biggest period yet. We have over $100 million, and we have Mr. Tua. A lot of other players need to get re-signed, but Tua's going to be the big one. I think there's no rush. I'm absolutely not shocked him and his agent have that high of a re-sign interest because you've not been very good. And you think, oh, maybe we'll give you another $150 million quarterback because we can't do better. And you're just the best we have, and we're in that quarterback purgatory that many teams find themselves in because we just drafted a hit-and-dev quarterback. Long way to go. Big difference, almost 18 overall point difference. So there is a gap between the two. However, if Tua is going to have another year where he struggles to get above 30 touchdowns, there's no point in us paying him. So we're going to wait till the end of the season for Tua. We got our superstar safety Kevin Winston locked in on a 6-year deal. Franchise tackle Kelvin Banks on a 5-year, $120 million deal. 5-year, $90 million for Tyler Booker. We're keeping the trenches strong. 3-year, $67 million deal for Jalen Waddle, who is at that point where he's regressing slowly, but still will be almost as good as any wide receiver 2 you'll find in the league. I think TJ Sanders, draftable player, he's another wait and see. I have more than enough money if I want to keep him in the building. We can. We drafted him, so he's a homegrown player. However, I need to see the production. Much like Tua, it seems like our pass rush has pretty much been Chop Robinson and Deron Payne for the last X amount of years. For a 3-4 defensive end, if you can get 7, I'll give you a contract. If not, I could probably find someone replaceable in the 2nd or 3rd round that could give us similar production. We'll have Jalen Ramsey in for another 2-year deal. He will retire a Miami Dolphin. But at the end of year number 4, at least we're back in the playoffs, 10-7, which gives us, we made the playoffs 3 times in the last 4 years. But, I mean, you look at the rankings, almost a top 5 offense, top 10 defense. We set parameters for 2 players. Tua, I wanted to see, ideally, 35-plus touchdowns for me to give him another $100 million contract. We also had TJ Sanders at defensive end. On our front 3, I said I want to see 7 sacks, so there could be paydays waiting along. Oh, my God, Tua, 1 short. I said 35. He gave me 34. Oh, I mean, I got to be a man. I don't know. I think the only thing that can maybe change my mind, that was a hard 35. His playoff run. Couple playoff wins. We'll see. We'll see how this one plays out. Under 1,000 yards for Achane. Kind of stinks. 12 touchdowns, not too shabby. 2,000-yard receivers as Ryan Williams goes for 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns, 12-7 for the veteran Jalen Waddle. Everyone else kind of, a little bit more of Achane in the pass game as well. 17 total touchdowns and 1,200 yards. Good year. Defensively, Landon Barton over 100 tackles. We got 12.5 sacks for Von Walker, 8 from Chop Robinson, 7.5 from Perkins, 6.5 for Sanders. My God, dude. Half a sack and 1 touchdown short on what I said it was going to be contract extension city. You know what? You know what puts a smile on my face? I've seen Cooper DeJean, 2 picks there as well. Is we go on a run? Maybe I'll be giving with my remaining salary cap. I'm pretty sure, I'm confident I have enough to pay both of them. It'd be really tight after I paid both of them. So let's go on a run here. If we're 1 and done, wet fart time against the Houston Texans, come out flat. Well, and they got a really good defense. D'Amico Ryan's got them boys playing. It might be best to move on. Might be best to keep that little bit of wiggle room with our salary cap and carry on, because I had our backup quarterback, our hidden dev. He was focus trained all year, one of our 6 training spots. So I mean, he's not in a brutal spot now. He's only a star dev. So we didn't get anything crazy, but for whatever the hell he was, a 4th round pick. He's going to enter next year if we're going to view him as a rookie. 23-year-old is not too uncommon for a rookie. He'd be a 74 star dev rookie. And you could, it would be a little bit of a step back, likely, like restarting the rebuild, but I've had worse scenarios, and I also set this season Focus Scout at quarterback. So next year, or this upcoming draft class, we have all the information on that quarterback class to make the most informed decision. But all that won't matter if Tua can go on a run here. I think 2 playoff wins. I think if we can go, and he can show that he can go on and bring this team to a championship game and get within a game of a Super Bowl, then you know what? I'll keep riding the Tua train. But if we just continue to just be a middle-of-the-mall team, we got 1 win. Dude, this is going to be the ultimate, hold me to my word type rebuild. Okay. Now, here's not saying, and I'm gonna give myself a back door. Here's not saying, maybe I don't know, we'll see. Let's see what happens this one. This is a huge game. We hit on this one, we pay him. We lose on this one, it's going to be a drastically, look at that, there you go. If we committed to just 1 playoff win, it's like, oh, we got 1 playoff win, we'll pay him, and then you come out against the Bills in a cold weather game that the Dolphins always freaking struggle with, Like that's your same old Dolphins. That is the team, and it's kind of like that definition of insanity. You know, it's an overtime loss. It's a close loss. It's an agonizing loss. But that is just another agonizing loss where Tua plays like dog shit in the cold and costs his team. So it's time. I think it's a bold decision. It could bite us in the ass, but we're through 4 seasons, and Tua has been the same guy all 4 years. Let him be someone else's problem. Ooh, did not see that coming. After signing a 2-year extension in season, Jalen Ramsey's sick of the shit here in Miami and retires after 13 great years. Great. Well, Cooper Jean, corner 1. So we're going to need to be a man of our word here. We're going to let Tua walk. We're going to decline the 5th-year option on Perkins just to give him an extension. He's been a nice utility player for us. Sanders is the tough one. Homegrown talent. But replaceable talent, unfortunately, at this point in time. Curiosity, like stalking that ex-girlfriend on Facebook. Gotta see what they're up to. TJ Sanders gets a 3-year, $60 million deal, which is, you know, the contract that he would have took with us to go to the 49ers. And Tua is feels like a throw at the wall, see what sticks type signing for the Cardinals after they move on from Kyler Murray. Well, we ever play Arizona in the Super Bowl the next 2 seasons? We'll find out. So we have 2 first-round picks this year, and we lucked out again. I mean, the last time we did this, people are called bullshit. I'll back myself up. We have the number 2 pick, and we also have our own pick way down at 25. We got to do work with those 2 picks. Always, we were able to make that huge trade with the Indianapolis Colts. They're giving us their first, second, and third-round picks, so we have outstanding draft capital. Damn it. Now, for whatever reason, it's already like kicked in the next season's schedule. I did not do anything nefarious, never would, for our draft pick for the Colts to end up having the number 2, the second worst team in the NFL. As soon as we have their first, second, and third round pick, I did nothing on my children. Colts were just that bad, and they weren't even that bad. 5-12 is not like terribly unrealistic. No one was worse than the Bucs. You weren't beating them on their 9-game losing streak. But we'll take a 5-12. Appreciate it. Hope they maximize that first round pick last year. So we're now in a really, really interesting spot because of that number 2 pick. Wharton here at tackle is projected to go 1, which is fine. We don't need a tackle. We did our homework. Our focus scouting was on the quarterbacks, and clearly there's only one that even looks remotely interested in drafting. I think for me to want to pull the trigger on a quarterback, they would have to be a top 5 talent. Versus what we currently have in the building. We have, a 75-star entering his second year. I'm going to guess, just based off first round, like, we'd be drafting him purely chasing a better dev trait than star dev. Which is not a foregone conclusion. I mean, he has a very similar build to the quarterback we got on our roster right now. I'm not seeing enough at him. Now, if he was a top 5 talent, I would take that swing every day. Because, at worst, he's going to be probably, 78, 77, 78. And then you're playing the dev trait lottery. But as it stands right now, I don't think it's within our best interest to draft that quarterback. So then now we have a top 5 pick. Like, who is projected in the top 5? Well, there's 4 quarterbacks, and they all kind of suck. So, like, outside of that, we have a pass rusher that's not a scheme fit. I love it if it was like a 3-4 pass rusher. None of them are really, like, Floyd maybe kind of fits that A power, A tackle. 30, I mean, that could be an option. If not, we also had Jalen Ramsey retiring. So we look at Greg Rivers here, the corner out of Cal. A-zone, B-man. Not like an absolute home run. But you run a 4-2. I mean, we got a lot of options. Thought about this for a minute. And with the... Oh, my God. Did they go quarter? They took the corner! No! God damn it. That's where I was going to go. And I don't want to, like, we're far enough along in this rebuild. Oh my God, they were taking the tackle all. We're far enough along in this rebuild that I don't want to keep kicking this can down the road and, like, kick this for another, couple first round picks. We might just have to go with Marquise Floyd here, 6'5". Even then, he's not a perfect fit for us. Oh, God damn it. Because I did some homework on later round, like 3-4 defensive ends. We got Sheffield, didn't really get much info there. We got Lucas. Again, just kind of going for your 300-pound DNs. Didn't get much info there. But for like the base D tackles, got a couple guys here, man, that like I feel like don't need to make that investment. So I honestly, at the risk of, I don't want to cheese a bunch of more drafts here, but I mean, that might be the best one there, Cincinnati. Still have a decent pick to make our 2 firsts this year, get 2 firsts next year. And I mean, we're about to embark with a brand new quarterback. This could be a rebuild within a rebuild. Now, again, I immediately hate the optic of kicking the first-round pick can down the road because these are all very reasonable offers for the number 2 pick, especially with 4 quarterbacks for these QB-hungry teams. But I don't need this pick. I don't like this pick. I don't want to be panicked into making this pick. So I'm thinking, don't want nothing to do with that Ravens. And there's also an element, like, we strategically picked the Colts as our first-round pick trade partner last year because I thought there was a chance they'd be dog shit, and it actually worked itself out that way. So as we look at the compensation that we're getting offered, I think we got to go with the Bengals pick. Could be just tripping here a little bit, but I mean, we're picking. I want Dallas. Yeah, we're gonna do that. We'll take Cincinnati's because I don't know who the hell they're trying to tackle, but 3 first-round picks. We get a 3rd-round pick. We still have our 2 this year. We're just moving back 15 spots. Thanks. Pleasure doing business with you. All right, we have 2 players that I think are going to be able to fit a lot of needs on our team. First up at safety, Javon Holland has been regressing 2 points, 2 points, 2 points at a chunk every single time. This might be this is just future-proofing the position. 6'2", 220, so elite build at A&M, has A-man, B-tackle, B-hit power. Could have a better combine, but the 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle are exactly where you want it to be. So we're going to kick things off here with Brandon Woodward, number 14 in true value, getting him at pick 17 with a dev trait, kind of future-proofing that safety position for us. Oh no, we're gonna be put in a position that I didn't really want to be put into. So the D tackle that I was kind of chasing after here is gone. We still got interesting. We got Robinson here, 2nd round, who is a power move. We have Pierce, who is a finesse move. So either one of those guys, 1572. I'm going to hope would be available come our 2nd-round pick because, well, we pick when the Colts pick. And I mean, right now, we're just in blind pick territory. There is, you know, we could use guard, but, like, are we getting any crazy first-round value at guard? B, pass block, B, run block from Kramer. We have nothing at left guard. And the quarterbacks are still there. Like, we could just, at this point, take a flyer on Moreland. You get the 5th-year option. What if he's... Like, I think the fairest thing here is just, are we doing all-on commitment to the quarterback we have on our roster, who I don't even know his name, and I can remember it now, Matthews. Do we commit to Matthews? 74, star dev, 95, so an absolute cannon. Accuracies are coming along. I just feel like that quarterback that's there is going to be like the same guy as this guy. And you're just strictly making that 1st-round pick to hope that he's a superstar dev. Because if he's not a superstar dev, then we just have 2 developmental quarterbacks. And it's just, we commit with him and we use his 1st-round pick and we go like at guard. Because we need help at guard because Austin Jackson is, you know, at the end of the rope there a little bit. Oh, man. It's one of those ones. If I knew what the depth chart was going to be, and if I had any hope that this was going to be a superstar, if I had any tell that this was going to be a superstar dev, A deep, A short, elite throw power, A awareness, or do we blind pick at this spot, this guard? Grant Kramer, double Bs, doesn't even have a good bench press. Fuck, man. Worst case scenario, I guess we could trade our quarterback. Number 7, top 10 talent, Pat Moreland. All right. We have 2 second-round picks. First pick, we're going to grab a Jordan Brooks successor at linebacker. We have Marco McCain, B-zone coverage. We're just getting the athlete here. Big-time athlete. We have 2 D tackles that I'm really interested in to come in and replacing TJ Sanders. I only had 1 linebacker that looked even remotely interesting. A little bit of a reach, but you're gambling on the athletic traits and the depth trait for Marco McCain at UNC. So we had a whole junk load of picks, day 3, that I don't really want to have any part of. So I'm throwing my 2 7s, my 5th, my 4th, and our second-round pick to move up about 15 spots in the second round. We played the oh shit game, where there's 2 D tackles I wanted, so I literally send pick by pick by pick after our selection. And as soon as 1 D tackle would go up the board, Robinson, who was one of our options, I was going to pull the trigger so that we could get at least one of these A-grade defensive tackles. And Pierce is the last one standing. Bernie Pierce, who has A finesse move, B tackle, 6'5", 291, so absolutely a scheme fit to make a position switch to a 3-4 defensive end. The combine is obviously, yep, that ticks a lot of boxes. Oh, he's first in the 40-yard dash, vert, broad, 3-cone, 20-yard shuttle. So a 1-of-1 type athlete, 47 in true value, still a slight reach, but I bet he has a depth trait with those athletic traits, and he does. Let's go. Ooh, got another linebacker, Julian White, out of Auburn. Yeah, I bet you can guess why I drafted him. We roll another depth trait total surplus, but we'll take it. Take a look at our draft recap, knowing that we have the number 2 pick, and we're able to shift that for future picks. Quite the haul down the board. Julian White, 70 hidden dev linebacker. We got Watkins, 70 normal. 72 hidden dev for Bernie Pierce. And I think he could potentially, not a lock, go up rating when we move into defensive end, which is where we're going to have him play. I don't know if it's right or left, but we'll just see. He goes from 72 to 72. Okay. We got Marco McCain, 71 with a dev trait. So we got 2 new hidden dev middle linebackers. We got Moreland, 76 with a dev trait. Woodward, 76 with a dev trait. And for Moreland, it's all about the, we're going to have a battle. I think it'll be nice to put both our quarterbacks under the microscope and go with truly the best one. This guy kind of looks like a slob, to be honest with you. But, hey, I want to see that corner, man. The corner that surprisingly went 1. All mock drafts had the tackle going 1, and I was going to grab the corner. And, of course, the corner, Greg Rivers, is an 80. So we'd have been real happy with that pick. But you know what, also, in hindsight, what's the depth trait? Because if not, if we made that pick, we wouldn't have all that future draft capital that we're able to gain from the Cincinnati Bengals. And he's superstar. Damn. So I think the fact of the matter is Moreland is just, like, a little bit better in there. He's more mobile. Neither are really mobile. He's stronger. He's more aware as a rookie than Matthews, who has a year of development. 1 point throw power, which is gigantic, because throw power is the hardest attribute to go up. He's more accurate in the short, more accurate in the deep. Close enough. It's like a push on throwing the run and throw under pressure. He's higher break sack. So it's like, do you want better play action and medium accuracy? You go with Matthews. If you want better everything else, you go with the rookie who has not a full year of development. Yeah. Not even a good value for Matthews to be like, I'm just going to trade one of them right away and we're going to commit with Moreland. I'm definitely not sending him to Dallas because that could definitely come back to bite us in the ass. And they're not even giving us, like, what? A guard to 7th round pick for a absolute developmental potential franchise quarterback? I don't think so, Jerry. Our best bet, if we're going to fully commit to Moreland, which I think that's going to be in our team's best interest, is like maybe we just hold on to Matthews for another year of development and then come the draft. It could be a very interesting trade piece for certain teams that may miss out on a quarterback. So what are you going to do, brand shiny franchise quarterback? You want to see what he does in his NFL debut. We're on the road, MetLife Stadium against the Jets, divisional rivalry. We're the better roster. But we got the rookie quarterback. Is he going to thrive? Is he going to give us Dan Marino vibes? Or is he going to be ass and make us feel sad? One way to find out. Let's go. All right, here we go. Opening drive with the Jets. Forced fumble by Javon Holland. Sets us up in terrific field position. I think we go yard right away. Ryan Williams, 99 speed. Up against Sauce Gardner. Oh, maybe not the... Oh, it don't matter. Sauce is old now. Old and slow. More like soy sauce Gardner. Oh, throws as he gets hit. Don't matter. When you got a cheat code, and well, I mean, it's going to be hard to get the ball to the veteran in Waddle when we have a 99 speed guy just constantly running in space. Well, let's get another one. Waddle right there at the sticks. Oh, it's kind of red. Tight end. Boom. Sure. Why not? Get a deny block. Price is going up on him. He's up for an extension. He's not going to be cheap. But a hat trick in the first half for Moreland. Patty Moreland. That's all we needed, man. 28-13. Let him close out. Caps off. 4 touchdowns. Dude, I simmed the whole second half. And he had 4 touchdowns, 325 yards, 94% completion percentage. Suck it, Jalen Milroe. Not too bad. NFL debut. Just get player of the week. So we're off to a 3-0 start. And it is now time to hand out some contracts. We declined the 5th-year option on Harold Perkins, so I want to get ahead of this contract as soon as possible. And we're going to get him locked in for another 4 seasons for that freaking nature. We have Lander Barton. That one's interesting. I think we got to pay Trevon Walker first. Maybe a 3-year, 48, somewhere in that range. He's been our best pass rusher. Because we drafted 2 hidden dev linebackers. Now, that was just more so surplus in the draft. I needed 1 to replace Jordan Brooks. I do think Barton, like, that's not a crazy contract if he'll take that. We have enough money. Actually, we're playing with house money a little bit because of rookie quarterback contracts. So with that, we could get a little aggressive here. We'll get Cole, homegrown player. We have Holland, who I'm not going to lie, we did draft his successor. So, unfortunately, as anti-patriotic as that is, what's best for this roster is likely moving on from a guy that's already regressed. He was like an 87, and then he went, boom, 84. That's only going to go down. So do we want that just to keep going down for 3 more years, or do we want to trust and develop, a first-round pick, which I think that's what we got to do. Okay, so there's a couple ways to digest this. At the end of year number 5, we are 9-8, and we've scratched and clawed our way into the playoffs. We finish with not great points per game, but a top 10 passing offense. Run game took a step back this year. As you can see, Achane didn't even get 1,000 yards. We have a top 5 defense, number 1 passing defense, which is tough to do because we just had Jalen Ramsey retire at the top of his game. He's still an 88 X factor, led by Cooper DeJean leading this secondary. But we went from like 9-8 with an expensive Tua to 9-8 with a brand new rookie quarterback. So I feel like 9-8 was almost our ceiling with Tua. And I want to be looking on this as a glass half full. We are 9-8 with a rookie quarterback. This is only the beginning. This is going to be our floor. Now that's obviously optimistic there a little bit. Ooh, look at that behind the webcam here. Ryan Williams, leading receiver of the NFL. So that's pretty badass to see that number. However, unfortunately, Moreland, who is top 10 in passing yards, only 29 touchdowns. 26 if you don't count the ones I threw. So obviously, there's a theme amongst Miami Dolphin offensive playbook quarterbacks. But then we also had 34 touchdowns with Tua last year before we let him walk. So, it's a rookie season. Let's just kind of view this as a rookie season. View the record, view the stats as hopefully the floor of this team and this passing offense going forward. 9-10 from Achane. He also chipped him with another 300 yards. So, 1,300 yards and double-digit touchdowns is kind of what we're getting out of him. No complaints. We have 2,000-yard receivers. Obviously, Ryan Williams went nuclear. 96 catches, 1,600 yards, and 14 touchdowns. Full disclosure, he is in our slot position. 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns from Jalen Waddle, the veteran now in Jalen Waddle. Defensively, Lander Barton, over 100 tackles and 4 interceptions. Our sack numbers are the best they've been this whole rebuild. 12 sacks on 15 TFLs for Trevon Walker, 11.5 sacks Chop Robinson, 10 on 11 TFLs for Harold Perkins, 8.5 sacks from the rookie Bernie Pierce, who he's the only one I've actually sneaked a peek at, dev trait-wise, excluding the quarterback. And Bernie Pierce is a superstar. So we replaced TJ Sanders, who was an 83 looking for $50 million contract, with a rookie who ends his campaign as an 80 with a superstar dev. So that is an outstanding upgrade for the program right there. We will look at the rest of the dev traits, and I guess the biggest dev trait of them all, and maybe that's the reason why I'm not excited to show you, is Pat Moreland's dev trait is just a star dev. So in line with Matthews, who is potentially going to be our quarterback of the future. Luckily, the stats are a lot better with Moreland. Ends his rookie campaign. I mean, if we can even get a playoff win, he might be able to bump that up to an 85 overall. Just the more talented player. We made the right call, at least going with him as our starter. I think in hindsight, made the right call drafting him in the first round. Looking at the rest of the dev traits that we have unlocked. So Moreland was hidden dev. It is a star for him. We have nothing else on the offense. Defensively, we got a couple. Pierce, hidden dev, superstar. McCain, linebacker, hidden dev, super. We don't know if it's just going to be a star. We don't know what White's dev trait was. Woodward, who I let start the last couple games of the season over Holland, who we decided we're going to let him walk. Woodward is an 80 with a star dev, so that's good to get him on the field because he might, again, if he finishes as an 81 star and we let Holland walk, it just doubles down on the right decision of not extending him, even though it's very unpatriotic of me as a Canadian. So yeah, the dev traits, pretty happy with those across the board, and outstanding that at least of all the hidden devs, one is a superstar. Damn it, Ryan Williams, runner-up for Offensive Player of the Year. But I still have no doubts that he won't get a dev trade increase at the end of the year. His stat line was ridiculous. Wow, Vaughn Money. Damn, that was our chance at a dev trade for Moreland. Fuck, that's brutal. Bernie Pierce, our superstar D lineman, gets Defensive Rookie of the Year. Ryan Williams gets Wide Receiver of the Year, as expected. This is a good role for us. Harold Perkins beats out Chop Robinson for Linebacker of the Year. Chop Robinson already on a superstar dev. Harold Perkins on a star. If this leads us with two superstars, I'd rather two superstars than, say, an X Factor and a star. We get a really, really tough draw. Not too often in the wildcard round, you're getting a team as good as Buffalo, a 14-3 program with a top 10 passing offense, the number one defense in the NFL. Throwing the rookie, throwing this young team to the Wolves. See if you can get us a win. I'm not expecting a playoff run here, so... my expectations were prepared. That's a tough role. 14-win wildcard team. It's and I mean, if we would have won that game, we would have played the Jags. We would have avoided the Chiefs. But rookie quarterback, first playoff game. You'd like to get an easier role there, and unfortunately, moment was pretty big. Lights were too bright for Moreland. 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. We'll learn from this. And it's not really a silver lining because they're in our own freaking division, but we did lose to the eventual Super Bowl champion. No one was stopping the Bills this year, let alone a team that's, going out there with a rookie quarterback. So as we clear out our lockers, as far as dev traits are concerned, we got, Mitch Bag would have been nice for Moreland, especially he was one off from Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's not an automatic upgrade, but you'd be optimistic that he would have been a superstar if he would have finished ahead of Vaughn Money. But Ryan Williams, after a dominant campaign, leading the league in receiving yards, everything you could ask for a Tyreek Hill successor. Not fair to call him a replacement. He's a successor. Happy with those numbers. No other dev traits gained on the offense. Defensively, both the linebackers that we got, McCain and White, are star devs. So, the fact that we re-signed Barton, I mean, one of those guys is going to be surplus, but Brooks is getting phased out. McCain will be a starter there. No dev trait on Perkins is incredibly harsh. Linebacker of the Year, had a hell of a year production-wise, double-digit sacks. We've had a lot of things go our way as far as dev traits are concerned in this rebuild, so I can't complain, bitch, and moan. And I think another area that, we lost a star dev on Brent, which kind of stings a little bit, but Pierce, he was a 72. 72 is how he started. He ends his rookie campaign in 86. Look at these upgrades. This was the upgrades I got. 39-point upgrade. He had 3 skill points for winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. Just +8 block shed, +7 play rec, 6 pursuit, 6 power move. We got a stud there. We got our Calais Campbell, Dominican Sue, whatever you want to call it on that D-line. It's going to be very expensive to start the year. We got to decline the 5th-year option on Ryan Williams so we can get ahead of that $150 million contract. Javon Holland, unfortunately, salute to you, even though conflicting, because Canadian, love ya, will always love ya. Also, kind of hated Vic Fangio. Doesn't deserve that. Vic Fangio's a god. Just destroyed Mahomes. So there's a mixed bag there with Javon Holland. I think it's best at this point. We have a successor. I hope you go somewhere and you win the Super Bowl. As long as you're not going to someone that's going to compete against us, you're going to end up getting a pick. Frig off. We got Austin Jackson, who's been a loyal servant on the O-line as well, but it is time to get younger at that spot on the line. And for free agency, we're just going to roll that salary cap over. We have more than enough talent on the roster that we just trust the homegrown. And I think if we need to make a big splash, well, it's going to come via the amount of draft capital we have over the next couple drafts. So unfortunately, well, maybe fortunately, to limit the cheese in case you're lactose intolerant in this video, we traded that future first-round pick to get the Bengals' first-round pick. They weren't dog shit. So we pick at 21 and 26 this season in the draft. For our needs, got a couple. Only starter that we need to go get is a guard. There's a really good, almost god roll if you need a guard. We were top 5 projected talent at guard. He's going to be good. Anytime I've ever seen a top 5 projected interior lineman, they're almost always studs. The reality is we're just not going to be able to trade up. I can't just trading up. Plus, you got Shepard here who has A pass blocking, could be solid. You have a couple B pass block guards here at right guard. Like right there, boom. Tavares Spain, B pass block, B run block, 3rd round pick. That's looking pretty juicy. But we need a guard. We need a wide receiver 3. Jalen Waddle's not getting any younger, and I did good business in our 2 scoutings. We have Griffin and Peralta. Now, my favorite thing to do is when you get the 4-2 undrafted wide receivers that are elite everything. You know those roles. Unfortunately, we just got the 2 slots. They had the best receiving ability. They were the best combination of athletes. So we'll consider that their 2nd-round picks. So that may be more so in line with our 2nd first-round pick. But Peralta out of Florida and Griffin out of Miami. Keeping it local. Both look pretty legit. We need 3-4 defensive end just because Travon Walker's not getting any younger. Unfortunately, not really any 3-4 defensive ends worthy of a first-round investment. Enrique Davis out of Boise State. But look, C finesse move deep. That's not good. Fuck that. D tackles, however, undersized D tackles. That's where it gets maybe a little more creative later on. We have the B power move on Ramos, the A finesse move on Cassius Allison. That's like a first-team all name there. So those are 2 guys that we'll consider, but they're not in the discussion for first round. I do think corner. This looks like a very, very strong corner class. And this is not all hits. Coleman looked like he'd be pretty decent. 3rd, 4th rounder. That was a bummer. But then we got Borden, Steve Borden out of Kansas, 6'4", 210. Ran like a 4.3 and has 8-man B zone. We have 8-man B zone on Juan Gore as well. We only need 1, and that's going to be our 1 for sure. Absolute running that 1 to the podium. All right, here we go. Waiting all the way to pick 21. Where we want Borden. That's going to be that's how we're going to kick this thing off. Maybe a little bit of reach, but it's getting our guy. Number 43 prospect on the board, but slam dunk in every sense of the word. Number 4 in true value, getting him at pick 21. Yep. Pick 26, I think we go with the homework that we did for the wide receivers. We have Peralta, who is slightly better than Griffin. Griffin has A catch traffic, B catching. Route running is complete dog shit, but you're getting a decent enough slot wide. And slot wide receiver archetypes are a little bit different than others, but Peralta is a legitimate first rounder out of Florida. A catching traffic, and a lot of times you just got to look at the intangibles. Do you have an A? Oh, you do have an A. Okay, do you have some elites? Oh, you do have some elites. Those are usually a great way to refine it. But ultimately for Peralta, had an A in a major skill that you want to look for in catching traffic, especially for a slot. And then you want the parameters. 40-yard dash, 3-cone, 20-yard. Are you top 5 or better? And he barely makes it. I'm surprised he's a first rounder. The only big worry here is normal. He's not an S-tier athlete. If he was, I'd be almost locking in the fact that there's going to be a hidden dev. But we get number 18 in true value. That is that first round true grade shown out there at number 26 with the dev trade. Oh, come on. Oh, let's go. Very nice. Now up next, it's do we go guard or do we go D lineman? We need a starter at guard, and we have Shepard who has the A pass block at D tackle. We're also pretty much at the cutoff there. I do want Cassius Allison as well. A finesse move, and then you look, he's just first at everything, and he has good bench press. Relatively good bench press. I think we go D tackle here, and hopefully some of those guards are still available in the 3rd round. I won't trade back up into the 2nd, but fuck me. 90 in true value at 53. Athletic profile gets him a dev trait, but that's probably wasn't. Can I get a redo? Ask the Chargers what they want for the first pick of the 3rd round. They want our 3rd round pick this year. move up, 25 spots. 5th round this year, and our 2nd in 2 years' time. Now, I'm hoping with this team in 2 years' time we're not going to need that pick. It's a price to pay, but I need a guard, so we'll do it. Because he looks outstanding. A for Devin Shepard. Only thing that's not great is the bench press. Might be a normal dev. We've been lucky with some dev traits here, but he's a top 30 player. That's why you trade a 2nd round pick. But he is a normal dev. It kind of sucks. Another swing on an A. Oh, let's go. Another A. Jack Cox, and there's the dev trait. So it's, not great use of our draft picks, but at the end of the day, 2 guards take 2 swings like we did with the linebackers last year. And this time, we at least get one with a higher ceiling. Now, an RB2 behind H-Chan, we have Brendan Judge at a Temple. Fastest 40. He has A carrying, B break tackle, B ball. He's 230. He's ticking a lot of boxes for a nice, cheap, affordable RB2 behind H-Chan. This is our final thing. Look at that. 38 in true value. Not a brutal pick. No dev trait. But, that's a great skill set. And we're just going to trust our board here. We have Tim Parrish, corner out of Stanford. 2nd, 3rd round talent. Would not have guessed that by all the Ds that are there. But we are going to trust the elite traits and end up getting a really, really solid player. In the 7th round, I think we're going to finish. This could be a special class. We have Blake Bloom at punter. A kick accuracy, A awareness. Great kick power. That's, you're flirting with something good. You get a lot of A's, and, I'm telling you, I draft generational punters better than anybody else. That's what gets all the views on YouTube. Is that just going to help me improve my 13 to 17-year-old demographic drafting punters? Let's get I think we're going to have a pretty good draft. Couple, worm burners by my high standard, normal devs, but look. We'll start on the opposite. 86 punter. I draft, easiest spot. Watch my videos. I can't, there's not one of these picks, if I'm being real with myself, not one of them. Maybe Peralta being a 75 was a little bit harder to navigate through the weeds, but even then, he was just one of the better athletes of a not great wide receiver class. That's probably the only pick that I actually did work on. Borden, 78 hidden dev. Oh, he was 6'4" and faster than everyone. It had AB in man zone. Allison had A finesse move and was the most athletic D tackle, hidden dev. We get Shepard, who had A pass block, drafted him. A little bit of a worm burner there, 74 normal. But then we went to our backup option in Cox, who also had A in pass blocking, and we rolled a 75 with a dev trait. Judge, 74, normal dev. Maybe not an S-tier player, but for a 200-pound, 220, 225, bringing 92 speed, 93 acceleration. Great compliment to what we have in H-Chan. We get Parrish, who was just trusting our scouting. Had him scouted as a 2nd, 3rd round talent, 73 with a dev trait. And if you get good, great elite kick power, and you can pair that with A awareness and A kick accuracy, or any combination of if you get B kick accuracy, A awareness, elite kick power. If you're in the wheelhouse of any of those three, you're going to be getting like a 78 plus punter. Didn't see 86. Usually 86, you have to line it up with elite kick power with an A in both awareness and accuracy. But Bloom with an 86, what is the rolling average of this draft class? We just had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks with an average of like a 75 overall across those 8 picks. Definitely one of our best draft classes to date. Now, draft classes, that's the luxury of seeing this, is that we get to see how it plays out. And we got, dev trait, dev trait, dev trait, dev trait, dev trait, 7 dev traits, but they're all stars, or we only get 1 superstar. That's not, we've had draft classes where we got 3 X factors. We've had draft classes where we get 2 superstars and an X factor. So the dev traits need to pull through, but on paper, one of our best drafts we've ever had. And as it relates to the rest of the league, only guy I really want to see is that guard that went top 5. Ooh, absolute whiff for the Bears. 67 overall player with the number 2 pick. And then Ortiz at guard, a top 5 projected talent. 82, he's got to be a superstar. So, if we would have just said, screw it, I'm going to trade those 2 first-round picks to trade up for a guard, which is the only spot that we needed a new starter, we would have been happy and just with that. But what a monster. So we're 4-3, one of the best teams in the league, 89s across the board. You looking at our individual rankings, I mean, like passing offense, almost top 10, top 5 rushing yards, which is weird because Achane struggled a lot last year. Our defense, points per loud, almost top 10. Our pass defense, not good, but we have very good rush defense. It is still kind of like an I don't know, man. It's hard to get a true read on what this Dolphins team is good at and bad at, because it feels like on any given year, it's something different. We had a couple dev traits pop. Cox on the offensive line, just a star dev. And when we look at our contracts, Ryan Williams got to get paid. Absolutely, positively, yeah, $200 million, blank check. Now, the interesting one comes with, wow, he actually told us to go F ourselves. Is Justice Scott. There's no interest there. Good player. Contract not overly expensive. I think it's just, we got to see. We got a lot of hidden dev players on that defensive front. Maybe we can afford to let him walk and just pony up all the money for Ryan Williams. I think that's probably what we're going to do. But then again, watch Justice Scott have like 8 or 9 sacks, and then it makes a no-brainer to try to keep him in the building. But we'll wait till the end of the year for him. Can't win. We go 13-4, 91s across the board. Our best record without a shadow of a doubt. We are here in year 6. The rankings. The best they've been. Still can't win a division. Buffalo somehow has the tiebreaker. We've yet to win an AFC North in 6 seasons. The good news, dev traits. I'm not going to outright say it's the best draft class we've ever had. It's in the discussion. Peralta, the wide receiver, X Factor. Superstar X Factor. Also, crushed it this year, had 8 touchdowns, so you got 8K XP. A lot of growth, a lot of development. That's a win. You know, he's a starter. That's what's going to happen when you are an X Factor. So that is huge. Cox, as we mentioned, was hidden dev star. Defensively, we got Borden, unfortunately. Not all absolute slam dunks. Is a star. Not sure what Allison's going to be yet. But as you can see, with Scott making the decision, do we resign him? Do we keep him? We do have some depth there across the line. But the X Factor on Pro, that's gigantic, man. That is absolutely sick. 2 X Factors and Jalen Waddle going forward. Outstanding weapons for Moreland at quarterback. But our stats here, we're getting kind of like that ceiling. The best year we had with Tua, we had with Moreland with about half as many picks. 4,400 yards, 34 touchdowns, 3 picks, 71% completion percentage. Happy we're able to kind of find a solution there at quarterback. Achane with a really solid year, 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns. From a receiving standpoint, Peralta, the X Factor, just under 1,000, almost 3,000-yard receivers, 8 touchdowns, still a great year for the rookie X Factor. 1,005 from Waddle, 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns from the prolific Ryan Williams. Defensively, Barton with a lot of tackles. Our sacks are down slightly. The superstar Bernie Pierce with 12 sacks, 8 from Perkins, 8 from Chop Robinson, 6 from Travon Walker, and 6 from Justin Scott. Interceptions also not crazy, as DeJean and McCain are tied for first. Haven't really had big-time production since Jalen Ramsey retired. Another close nose cigar. I mean, we don't need the dev trade, and to pat ourselves on the back, Tyler Griffin was the other wide receiver that we were debating taking at that spot, so we would have been right either way. We got a nice roll here in the first round of the playoffs. It's not a 13-win Bills team. We get a below 500 Jacksonville Jaguars team that have a solid defense, but the reality is we need to blow them. Buzz! We got to blow them out of the park. Can't have this be a close game whatsoever. 28-10, exactly that, and we get a rematch against the Bills with the AFC Championship game on the line, likely against the Kansas City Chiefs. But 28-10, we get the first win of the Moreland era, and he was outstanding. 230 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Run game, Achane got a nice little tutty there. Jalen Waddle was solid. Defensively, I mean, a mixed bag. They got a hell of a pass rush there. But we also ain't too bad ourselves. Harold Perkins, Travon Walker, Justice Scott. Which is a big one, though. I mean, talent-wise, our talent stacks. This is a Super Bowl winning team. 92, 93, 92. It's outstanding. But haven't showed us anything yet in playoffs. And it's not a great feeling being in year 6 of a rebuild and not feeling that much different in terms of optimism of how far our team can go than where we were in year 1. And we have like a completely different team. But we'll see. Can we finally beat the Bills? Avenge our playoff loss last year? Nope. Our offense that averaged 25 points a game gets 10. 20-10. I guess we saved ourselves the opportunity of crushing defeat against the Chiefs. But man, oh man. It continues. So it was a really quiet offseason. The good news is the Bengals kind of sucked. We have their other first-round pick, so we're picking at 3, which is really nice. We also have our own pick that is down here in the very depressing, we didn't really go that far in the playoffs, at 28. Positional needs, our team is absolutely stacked. D-tackle, like a nice D-tackle. We got Hancock here, looks real nice. That's who I focus scouted, because I figured we were going to let Scott walk, which we did. Other position of need would just be, I'd be looking at that right tackle spot. I don't actually hate this Hammond selection potentially, just because Patrick Paul at right tackle is getting out there and age a little bit. Like that's how long this rebuild is. He went from being a rookie at the beginning to like now we're almost like, well, he's at his ceiling development-wise. He's the only guy on the offense that's kind of at their ceiling. So when you got 2 first-round picks, maybe you take the opportunity there to, slightly improve that position. But even then, he's still 85 normal. He's 29 years old. It's just, are we going to be able to give him another contract? Sometimes those tackles, especially when they're looking for that second contract into their 30s, we're not any closer to a Super Bowl. I'm under the assumption right now that we are going year 10. We need to use every bit of the 3 years remaining. So we're just at that spot now when we have premium picks. It's like, look at who we're not going to be able to re-sign. And I think it makes a whole lot of sense to consider tackle alongside D-tackle. This is going to be a very heavy in the trenches type draft. And we're very blessed to have a top 3 selection here. But it's also annoying because I don't even get the first pick at tackle. Waltman goes off the board. So look at the tackles that are available. Sanders. We got B pass block. Don't know the run block. We got B pass block on Snowden, who I scouted. I saw BA, and then, of course, his run blocking is not the best. So he's not a great value pick. At right tackle, we do have Hammond, who has B pass block, B run block. I ain't mad at that pick. I'll trust the mock draft that they're not going to steer us wrong here, and he's going to be an absolute stud. The way we've been crushing our... he has a dev trait, but Jesus Christ, that might be the biggest discrepancy of a first-round pick I've ever made. From true talent to what it's a luxury that we're at. I don't want to just keep trading this pick away. Let's spend them now, and maybe we find the missing piece that can put this team over the fucking hump so we stop choking in the playoffs. So D-tackle Hancock, who I wanted, is gone, but the other D-tackle I scouted in Floyd Meadows. We need a nose tackle, 4 Bs across the board, and he put up 42 reps on the bench press with elite strength, so weight-wise a little undersized, but attribute-wise absolutely could be a nose tackle. There we go, that's where we need to be. Number 10 in true value, I picked 28 with a dev trade beast. Just in case we want to move inside, we have a true nose tackle here in Jacques Preston. Didn't attend the combine, but he's 333. That's a mystery bag that's worth opening, I think. 55 at pick 60. No dev trade. All right, a little bit of a wet fart. Look at our recap. Had a lot of picks this year. Not as many hits, but 73, 76 hidden dev at D-tackle and a 72 reach. But at least there is a dev trade. I got the vibe, though, looking at this class, that it wasn't a particularly strong class. And yeah, look up here. Not much within the top 5. Looks like, holy shit, a top 5. We have anyone over an 80. There was a safety, Mike Small, over an 80. Couple running backs, couple corners, like positions we absolutely don't need anything. So it's a rough year to have 2 first-round picks, but I think we made the most of it at positions that we need to get stronger at. As we start year number 7, longest rebuild we had in a minute. I don't want to put expectations, but we are the most talented roster in the NFL. 90 overall, 90-plus offense, 90-plus defense. Put it together. That's all I can say. 13-4 last year. Still looking for our first divisional title. Baby steps. I think if we can get 12, 13 wins, probably puts ourselves in a good spot to get our first divisional title of the rebuild. And then maybe we have the calluses of defeat of going 2-3 in the last 3 years in the playoffs to go on a run. I don't know. We'll see. That's exactly what you want. I'll almost treat this, not almost treat like an all in year, but like, oh, we're finally going to put it again. Oh, yeah, we're just a game and a win above 500, and we're still struggling to compete with the Bills, who are looking to just continue to dominate the AFC East, which is sick. I would say the kind of decent news is like we're at another point in time this rebuild where we can afford to just keep keeping on our players. We have Joe Parrish at center, He's been solid, limited by his normal dev ceiling. But I think we're only probably $1 million or $2 away to keep our 85 center in place. We have Patrick Paul at tackle, drafted his replacement, was foreseeing a not great looking contract. We're still solid players, but a hell of a developmental story for us. I think we got to make sure that Jalen Waddle retires a Dolphin at this point. He's been awesome. Very reliable 1,000 yards. We gave him 40, turns it down, probably 42. I don't think we're too far away. So we're going to go and make sure we can bring back Waddle and Parrish and everyone else. Best of luck. We weren't that far apart. Got Parrish locked in. And we ensure Jalen Waddle will retire a Miami Dolphin. So at the end of year 7, we finally did it. 13-4, so the same record we had last year. Look at the rankings. In line with our team ratings. We get the 1 seed. Not only do we get the 1 seed, in 7 years, we get our first AFC East title. Wow, the Jets almost went 0-17. That's interesting. Looking at the stats. Oh, baby. 4,300 yards, 43 touchdowns for Mr. Pat Moreland. 4 picks. We got 1,011 from H-Chan. The power back Judge, we brought in 8 touchdowns, did exactly what we needed him to do. We got 1,200 yards, 15 touchdowns for Ryan Williams, 1,010 for Jalen Waddle, 9-4 for Peralta, the X Factor, 8 touchdowns for Nye Black. Defensively, Barton continues to be a tackle machine. Our sacks are back up with Travon Walker, 14.5, 13.5 Perkins, 10.5 Pierce, 7.5 on 12 TFLs for Chop Robinson. And our interception numbers are, a little bit better. They're marginally better than what they've been the last couple seasons. Damn. Come on, Pat. Give him a little more respect than 3rd. Even Nerd Alert getting disrespected at number 5. We did get a couple players of the year. Devin Achan is running back of the year. Jack Cox, our guard, 2nd year, sophomore campaign. Not bad. You just regarded as the best lineman in the NFL. And we also get linebacker of the year going to Harold Perkins. Oh, God. All right, the team that's just owned us this whole rebuild. We'll show them the ultimate respect and make sure our team is tip-top tailored shape. We got Peralta, a couple starters there across the board, a couple depth guys might get a snap or two. That's important because that'll be the stats that come out there and Josh Allen picks on them. 13-4 Dolphins. This is finally the year we can beat the Bills and make an AFC championship game. We had the first round bye. We get it done, baby. 35-25. Put up points. We don't have to play the Chiefs. Let's go. That's a win. We get 3 touchdowns, no picks from Moreland. Biggest playoff victory of the rebuild. H-N running back of the year playing like it. Ryan Williams, 88 yards and a touchdown. Defensively, Harold Perkins, linebacker of the year. 2 TFLs, 2 sacks. 2 sacks for Pierce. Sack for Walker. Pick from Parrish, who, hey, we just upgraded him. He's like corner 4, makes that play. Everybody has a chance. Takes the greatness of the others to be great, or whatever the hell Nick Sirianni's been preaching this whole Eagles Super Bowl run. That's what we need here in Miami. In the championship round, we get the 10-7 Houston Texans, who all credit. Anytime you see any team that's flirting with 90s and they're a sim-built team, very good. Very difficult to do. A lot of times, like at best, these teams cap out like 85, 86, 87. They are very much not that. They have a top 5 offense. One of the best secondaries led by Derek Stingley. Will Anderson's a beast. CJ Stroud, 44 touchdowns. Another one where we're going to upgrade a place. Let's see if we can get a player of the week from one of these guys that is playing their best game. We got Travon Walker, who's regressed a little bit, but been our most consistent pass rusher this entire rebuild. We're going to need him to play the game of his life if we want a chance here in year 7 to feature in our first Super Bowl. And it's the Falcons. You got a player of the week. It's Moreland with 2 times. I mean, I'm not going to lie, that's not a great performance to assume that we won, but I'm going to guess that we did win. Because it doesn't have, like, your coach staff moves. Someone spoiled that for me in the comments on the last rebuild. And we did it. It's a humble win. NFC side was an absolute shootout here. It was traditional, old-school football. 264 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks for Moreland. Run game was all right. Jalen Waddle, ageless wonder, over 100 yards and a touchdown. And on the defensive side, we just kept them out. No points. Who cares about box score stats? The Super Bowl has been set. Battle of 13-4. We are the better roster. But they're still pretty damn good. Led by Bijan Robinson. They got Jalen Walker, who I've actually had go to the Falcons in a couple of my last mock drafts. Go check it out yesterday. Uploaded a new mock draft with trades. Had a lot of fun with it. But point blank period, we are the better team. This needs to be it. This needs to be where we win a Super Bowl. We finished the rebuild because I can't build a better squad than what we have. Let's go, baby. Don't know what we're getting into. It's 3 opportunities hopping on the sticks if need be. Low scoring defensive battle. And you know what? Atlanta's got by getting in shootouts. We've won actually close games. So this low scoring could play in favor of the Dolphins, who we get a touchdown, a turnover, and a chance to pile it on here in the third quarter. I'll tell you right now, one of the most exotic looking playbooks I've seen in Madden. A lot of motion. Probably the most motion I've seen in an offensive playbook. If you're not on this play, I'd love to just smash that in there to Williams if we can get that between. Oh, he bites! And it's easy. You gotta stay with the slide. There is just such good mismatches in Madden. I don't know why they never like pivot and adjust their scheme. You put your best wide receiver in the slot and they constantly don't match best on best, which works out for us. But as you can see, we're absolutely blowing it. 4th down, 28-21. I think it's time that we say, I don't know, Harold Perkins on Michael Penix. Just not in the end zone. Just not in the end zone. It isn't how it looks like the Super Bowl, and it's Borden. Our draft pick at corner. Look like Mahomes gets the Eagles. Chase and race to the quarterback. Year 7. Our longest realistic rebuild to date. But we go 3-0 in the playoffs. We get our Super Bowl win versus Atlanta. Earned it. This was a juggernaut of a team. And I will say, with where we're at, we weren't losing anyone crazy from a salary cap standpoint. And our team's young enough that if we had to go to year 8, our team actually would be better because every single player would have developed. And we'd have been like 95s across the board. But we'll have to just accept. Okay, maybe just being 92 and 93 across the board is good enough for Nerd Alert Mike McDaniel to get the Super Bowl. Trust the scheme. It took us forever, but we stayed true. Dolphins offense. Defense, we went to Vic Fangio after we fired our DC, but even then it's still within the bubble, adjacent to what the Dolphins run anyways. But we stayed with Mike McDaniel. And it got it done in the end. 40-plus touchdowns for Mullen. Quarterback controversy. Had to move on from Tua. Had to trade Tyreek Hill. Had to make some tough roster decisions because the salary cap was such a challenge in this rebuild. But at the end of the day, through 7 years, we got the job done. MVP easily going to Fat Pat Moreland. So as we always like to do to wrap up a rebuild, let's take a look at this career stats and what we're able to achieve. Pat Moreland, 13,000 yards, over 100 touchdowns, only 15 interceptions in 3 years as a starter, which is absolutely disgusting. Fat Pat, congratulations. What a legend. Devon Achane, just under 9,000 yards and over 100 rushing touchdowns in 8 seasons. We have receiving a legend. At least from a Dolphin standpoint. Maybe not Super Bowl, but Jalen Waddle getting 12,000 yards, 70 touchdowns, 6,800 yards and 66 touchdowns from Ryan Williams in 5 years is disgusting, averaging 80 a game. Hall of Fame trajectory for him. Everyone else was solid as a role player. Defensively, Later Barton is our tackle leader with just under 650. We got 85 sacks from Travon Walker, 110 TFLs. He did most of that with us, not with the Jags. 60 sacks on 67 TFLs for Chop Robinson, 46 from Harold Perkins, 31 for Bernie Pierce. And the interception numbers were honestly never that great. But shout out Jalen Ramsey. He was a beast for us. As well as the Canadian Javon Holland. As we close the door on this rebuild, I mean, what a freaking squad. I think you can definitely look back to the fact that, I don't want to say we manipulate the draft. I think, yes, and I hate and I don't usually end up with the kick in the can, getting the first round picks. But in this rebuild, it made sense. Every single time when it came time to trade that first round pick, that trading was easily the best available option to us. So with that, we were able to facilitate the squad in a way, garnish, however you want to say it, the squad late in this rebuild by getting the X factors and getting studs across the board. But, I mean, still the core was there. Achane, Waddle, Ryan Williams, Nye Black, Paul, Parrish, Booker, Banks, homegrowns, or players that we acquired very early and then developed them. Travon Walker was a gamble. Not really worthy of the first overall pick. Not as good as Aiden Hudson. Hey, we'll take him here. End up being incredible. Drafting Pierce, X Factor, signed Cooper DeJean to take over as Jalen Ramsey as corner one. McColl's been here. drafted him day one. Borden was drafted. Woodward drafted. Chop Robinson developed him into a 95 superstar. The linebackers, Winston, Barton. Perkins is incredible. Perkins is one of those guys. I got to show you the stats before we wrap this one. Obviously a niche size, but just imagine. Edge rusher, 92 speed, 96 acceleration, the pursuit, the finesse move, the tackle, the agility. I mean, one of those guys you could only dream if you're doing like a main franchise and you can use the defense, play every single game. I would not switch off of him. I'll put it that way. But for me, fellas, that is how we're going to wrap up today's video. If you did enjoy and it is your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button as we're working our way up to the next mini goal on the channel, which is 180,000 subscribers here on the channel. What I need you also to do is let me know in the comment section below what rebuild, what kind of rebuild you guys want to see next. You want to see, because it takes a lot of commitment, another 20-year rebuild. I've kind of figured out the rosters a little bit. That could happen. I need to know what team. If you want to see a realistic rebuild, actually also give me a realistic rebuild. I'm telling you, the next one that I'm going to do, probably the next rebuild you guys do see, is going to be a Saints rebuild because they just posted away literally an hour ago Kellen Moore from my Philadelphia Eagles. So I think that's now a very interesting, very challenging rebuild that we're going to do. But after the Saints, what realistic rebuild do you guys want to see? What team and what rookie players from college you want to see? As well as why not throw out another 20-year rebuild idea. But that'll do for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As always, if it's your first time stopping by and you already subscribed, hit that like button, leave a comment, helps my channel with the YouTube robots. And I'll see you back here on the next one. Peace out. Love ya. Have a good one.